Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all sorts of good stuff. I'm joined in studio by Ray Ora.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
We got Jonathan Voico here.
Good morning.
It's Friday, so the delightful Chris Carr is here.
Hey, everybody.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thanks so much for being here. I'm going to let you know, it's going to be kind of a casual day today. Not a lot of news out there. I mean, a couple of big things, but I mean, other than that, not a lot of news. So we're just going to kind of casually chat about a couple of things and then take your live comments and questions. If you guys have a comment, question, thought, topic, opinion, observation for the show, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link that you can see here at
Bing.
www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. You can also find a link for that in the description. Fire in your question, and as long as it's appropriate to be addressed, we'll talk about it in the second part of the show. Also, the good thing about this tip link is that for all of you guys, we know like 90% of our audience can't be here to watch the show live. For all those you guys who watch it after the fact, you can send in a topic or question using that tip link anytime, 24 hours a day, and we will just get around to it at the next show that we do. All right. With that down, guys, we're going to start off, you know, every once in a while, something, a feel-good thing happens that allows all of us to, you know, that's something that we all agree on and that we all want to talk about together because we all think the same thing and we all agree on it. Let's talk about the Trump conviction.
Yes.
Let's start today by unifying everybody.
Talk about casual Friday.
Casual Friday.
I'm glad I'm just wearing my hat and shirt.
What's that?
Nothing else below?
What? They're saying no, we shouldn't talk about. Okay, we won't don't talk about that. But the unity that it would create. What about the unity? Won't somebody think about the unity? Okay, no, we're not going to talk about that. But we are going to talk about a couple things here, even though it's a more casual day. You know, yesterday I mentioned, well, you guys told me that this new documentary, Movie Pass Movie Crash, which is now up on Max. A bunch of people wrote into me and said I was in it. I'm like, what? See, yeah, make a quick cameo. Like, really? Like, yeah. So, of course, I have been, for those of you who followed our show for any period of time, you know that Movie Pass has been a very big topic to me because of the positive things it could represent and the absolute vile evil that it ended up perpetrating upon the people. And it was something, it was everything from extortion to like straight up mafia tactics and lies. And
Oh, now I'm seeing the opening connection.
Oh, my
wow. Sorry, it was there. It was low-hanging fruit. I had to. Okay.
it was right there, had to be grabbed.
Did it taste good? Huh? Huh, Chris?
That low-hanging fruit
Easy.
tastes good. So, I decided to go ahead and watch it. And I've been looking forward to it anyway. It's fabulous. It is a fabulous documentary. Now, I was aware, because I have been so obsessed with the story of Movie Pass, a lot of it I was aware of, but there's a number of factors of the whole story of Movie Pass that I wasn't really keyed into and I didn't know. And the documentary brilliantly, step by step, walks through everything about how Movie Pass came to be, what its aspirations were, how those aspirations got bastardized by a bastard, and how it all fell apart and how it's trying to make a comeback again. Now, for those of you who did not know, these two guys are the founders of Movie Pass, really. Stacy Spikes, the guy up front, he was really the founder. It was his brainchild. Like, he had developed a really successful film festival, and he was trying to think of a way to bring that festival to everybody and bring movies to everybody. And he came up with, conceived of, and developed Movie Pass. Then he got this great financier behind him, Hammett Watt, got behind him, and they started doing it, and it started to grow, become a thing. But then they ran into the money problem. The money problem being that they didn't have it. And the bigger they were getting, the more money was taking. So they went and they got this one financer that was a great partner to them. But that financer was running out of money too. Like he was burning a lot of money. And he said, listen, this financer, this third-party financer says, I got an idea. Let's bring in Mitch Lowe. He had some success at Netflix and all that kind of, let's bring him in as our new CEO. It's the only way I can keep financing the project. So Hammett and Stacy said, well, what other choice do we have? Okay, this is our new CEO. And that's when that son of a bitch took over MoviePass. Mitch Lowe took it over. Then they brought in the Ted Farnsworth, is it HNYC or HYNC or HCYN, or I lost track of which order the four letters. There's an H, a Y, an N, and a C, and I don't know what order they come
Is
in.
that the Helios?
Is that like genetic
Yes, it's
code?
Helios.
What is that?
Yeah, it's the Helios company.
Helios Matheson.
So
I kept
suddenly
finding head bitch in charge.
Ted and Mitch become in charge. They do the whole thing where they drop it to $10 a month for unlimited movies that all of us said, that can't work. I'm not, I don't have an advanced math degree from MIT or anything, but I'm pretty sure charging people $10 a month for a movie pass that go to 40 movies a month, that ain't going to work.
It was a Michael Scott company.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. It was the Michael
Yeah.
Scott
Well done.
Paper Company. That's a perfect analogy, Ray.
Well, to those who get it.
Yeah, so it came up, they started running, and then when Stacy, the company founder, who's still on the board, starts going, hey, wait a minute, we're going to go bankrupt. This won't work. So you know what they did with that rational, logical statement? They fired him. They fired the two founders of MoviePass, kicked them out, then proceeded to run MoviePass into the ground, try to extort movie studios and movie theaters, saying, oh, you know what? If you don't start giving us a cut of your concession stand, it'd be a shame if some of your theaters got blacked out of our service. Oh, movie studio, you might want to pay us some advertising money, or else it would be a shame if the opening weekend of your new movie, if our MoviePass users couldn't use their MoviePass to go to see your movie. They literally were acting like the mob. Anyway, the guy's back. Those two guys are getting criminally charged. They're probably going to go to jail. Stacy is back, running MoviePass again.
Yep.
And it's up and running. And for the first time ever, MoviePass is turning a profit today.
Yeah.
It's turning a profit today. Good for them. I hope they succeed. I really, really do. And right near the end of the film, it goes from being a good documentary to an Oscar contender because I show up and I lay down the logical law in my full 6 seconds of pontificating glory. I turned that movie around and I turned it into an Oscar contender.
Well, what did they use? I didn't make it to that
It
part.
was a
yet.
shot from our other studio.
Yeah, but what were you saying? Why?
It was the part of the documentary when Stacy tells that now that MoviePass went bankrupt, I went in and bought it again, and now I'm owning MoviePass again. And then they cut to a thing of me going, MoviePass has returned like a phoenix rising from the ashes. And I talk about how, hey,
Nice.
now it's being run by the guy who used to run it when it was a legitimate business and all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
I don't want to overhype it, but I saved the movie.
Yeah. Well, it
Just
sounds
throwing
like
that out there, I single-handedly.
Sounds
The
like you did.
humility, just the absolute humbleness
Yeah.
is what astounds me.
They don't call me Johnny 6 seconds for no reason. And, wait,
call
wait,
There's reasons.
wait.
It's a pathetic reason.
Maybe I should take that back. Anyway,
Johnny 6 seconds, huh?
in all honesty, it's a great documentary. If you're a movie fan, and obviously everybody who's a movie fan was in one way either had a movie pass or were connected to somebody who had a movie pass. I think you're going to love this. It'll make you angry. It'll make you inspired. It's a really good little documentary.
Do you still have your card? I
Anne does.
I
Anne still
actually
has her
want
card.
one just for the novelty of having that in my, just 'cause
I
it's
wish I
such a-
still had mine. I
Yeah.
really do. Actually, it's funny because they were talking to one of the employees, somebody who was an employee of MoviePass, and they're like, "Do you still have your MoviePass card?" And he pulls it out and he goes, "Yep." He goes, "It's just I keep it because it reminds me so much of that time. Like when I was really proud of what we were doing for a time, and it's just really, really important to me." He says, "I'll never let this go."
Heck yeah.
And then the interviewer, you hear his voice behind the camera going, you know, they're selling for a lot on eBay right now.
They
and the
are?
guy goes, for how much? And the guy, $1,600. He goes, I'm selling this bitch tonight. Puts his card.
How much are Blockbuster cards going for? Because I still have mine.
Oh, you could probably make quite a bit on that.
I found
Oh
it.
my God.
That's a relic. That
Yep.
is a time capsule.
I still have my Blockbuster card, but it looks like crap.
I still remember when Will Ferrell offered to give me all of his remaining Blockbuster stock. That was a good time.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, go check it out. It's a really wonderful documentary. Like, if you guys have followed me for a long time, you know we have followed the Movie Pass saga very closely for a long time. You know what sucks too? The founder guy, Stacy.
Yeah.
He literally wrote to me about 4 or 5 months ago, asking for me to interview him on the show.
Oh.
And I remember when I read it, because I don't do interviews anymore. I'll make a few exceptions, like here and there, for certain people I like. But I remember he wrote to me, and I was so excited to see that. Yeah, because I love what he was trying to create, and I love that he's owning thing again. And then I forgot all about it, and I never wrote him back.
Oh no.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
such a...
You gotta
yeah.
star those emails, man.
I know.
Mark them as important.
You know what? That's why you shouldn't read your emails in bed at night. Because
No, this is very true.
it's very
Yeah.
true. And so, Stacy, if you are watching, I would love to talk to you sometime, because
Yeah.
I'm inspired by you, dude. I'm inspired.
Bring
All
in
right.
some of those cards.
With that down,
I want one. I want one, even if it doesn't work. The card looks so cool. It reminds me of my Target red card. It does.
that's what Movie Pass was going for. They wanted to
Yeah.
be associated with, when you
Target
thought
Red.
of Movie Pass, they wanted you to think of Target.
Well, it is better. than
Exactly what
Walmart.
they went for. All right. Anyway, guys, with that down, let's talk about this, shall we? There may not have been a lot of movie news going on out there today. Boy, there was a big story. At the end of Transformers Maximum Foot Fur Tally Animals, what was the name of it?
Rise of the Beast.
Rise of the Beast.
Rise of the Beasts. At the end of Transformers Rise of the Beasts, which wasn't a bad little movie.
That's fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
fine.
It was fine. It was better than a lot of the other Transformers
fun.
movies. Certainly not as good as Bumblebee,
No.
but it was better than most of the other Transformers movies. But at the end, they throw in this little, let's just call it what it is, blatant, desperate-looking fan service. When at the end, kid goes in and is like, hey, kid, how'd you like to work for G.I. Joe? It's like, "Wah!" And then everybody in
Body
the theater,
massage.
everybody in the theater is like, it's
Not many
G.I.
people are
Joe.
going to get that reference, right?
Oh, sorry.
They're going to cross it over. They're going to cross over Transformers and G.I. Joe. The problem with that was, Ray, if you can look up for me how much Transformers Rise of the Beast actually made at the box office.
John, I'm doing important work right now. I'm working on this Wolverine popcorn bucket emoji that you guys.
That's right.
But let's look this up.
Yeah,
Let's
you
look
find out for me how much that made, but it wasn't a ton.
Rise of the Beast.
Yeah.
You're talking about the total.
Yeah.
438 million,
More than
Okay.
more than Fury Road.
and the
Yeah.
opening was 61 million, which is a good.
But I mean, a fall from its
Yeah.
previous.
Sure.
Yeah. So I mean, not the $1 billion glory days of Transformers, but not horrible. But still, I didn't think enough that they would do another one.
No.
Let alone do a Transformers G.I. Joe crossover. But apparently they announced a little while ago they are doing it. And now it looks like they got a serious name attached. According to Variety, Chris Hemsworth
Dementus.
is now in final negotiations to star in the Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover movie. They wrote the following. Chris Hemsworth is in talks to join another blockbuster franchise. After playing Marvel's Thor and the deranged villain Dementus, he is so good as Dementus in Furiosa. In George Miller's Furiosa Mad Max saga, Hemsworth is in talks to star in the upcoming crossover between Transformers and the G.I. Joe franchise. The Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover was first teased back in last year's entry, and we already told the story about how that came about. All right, now, one of the things that I've been told already, because my first thought was probably a thought a lot of you guys had, was he's
Why?
going to be
Oh.
the voice of Optimus Prime. Because in the upcoming animated series, Transformers 1, or animated movie, I should say, he's the new voice of Optimus Prime. And I got to tell you, man, the footage they showed us at CinemaCon, I enjoyed. I really did like the footage they showed us at CinemaCon. Felt like a lot of fun. Anyway, so my first thought, and I'm sure a lot of others was probably, well, he'll just be the new voice of Optimus. But apparently, no, he is actually in talks for a live action role. He's going to be the face of the movie, I guess, which kind of surprises me in the same way that the new Jurassic World has been surprising me. You know, because the new Jurassic World, I thought, okay, they're just going to throw another one out there. But then they announced they got Scarlett Johansson, who is notoriously picky about the script she'll take. And then yesterday we talked about how Mahershala Ali has also joined the new Jurassic World. And now we got Transformers G.I. Joe, which I thought was just going to be kind of hacked together and thrown out. But they're actually getting Chris Hemsworth.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you why this could be good for Hemsworth too. Hemsworth really only has the MCU as far as big successes under his belt. Now, he tried to break into another big franchise with Mission Impossible, with Men in Black. That didn't go so well. Not a terrible movie, by the way, but it flopped hard. Black Hat, well, let's not talk about Black Hat.
Extraction.
Well, that's a straight to streaming.
Oh, yeah.
Nonsense, which I thought Extraction was terrible. I never even did watch the second one. Rush was brilliant, and he's fabulous in Rush with Daniel Bruhl.
Yeah.
But not a franchise.
But not a franchise, and not a huge. It got some awards buzz. Didn't get any like real sort of box office success though. At the same time, so and obviously the Mad Max franchise is not going to be it for him. So he's kind of looking for another vehicle that can be a big time vehicle for him. And maybe this can be it. Anyway, Chris, you heard about this. Chris Hemsworth joining Transformers G.I. Joe. What are your thoughts in general?
Oh, this is going to be a day where everyone's like, you're such a downer. Who asked for this?
Chris Hemsworth.
That's what it feels like because Rise of the Beasts was fine. I did not see the footage that you guys saw at CinemaCon of the Transformers animated film. The trailer, though, completely turned me off to it, where it just was, this is really goofy and kiddified, and it's not my vibe. But I understand that everything is made for me. It just was, oh, this isn't the Transformers I want to watch. Hopefully somebody else will enjoy it. And then G.I. Joe. We really haven't gotten great G.I. Joe properties either. You know?
We've had some that we had one or two that weren't bad.
They weren't terrible.
Yeah.
But also, it's one of those things of, okay, so these are two things that were fine at best in their latest iterations, and now we're pursuing it still. It's hard to get super excited about that. And maybe this will be a really fun reimagining that bolsters it. Maybe it ties in this cinematic universe that becomes a really fun, cool thing with this kind of Avengers Assemble mentality of bringing together all these other toyetic properties. But as of right now, it doesn't seem like a particularly thrilling thing. Oh, and to be clear in the comments here, I do like kid-friendly movies. I don't have a problem with kid-friendly movies. I just don't want to watch a Transformers where they're like, oh man, this is happening again. I don't like you. It's not my jam. After watching him in Furiosa, which I haven't gotten to talk to you guys about. I loved him. I wish that movie was more fun and more violent, honestly.
More violent?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I was expecting it to be much more violent. And it was, oh, okay, this is fine. It felt a little sanitized to me, honestly, but he was really great in it. And I want more of these kinds of roles for him. I want him to go off on this, character actor journey and do stuff that is really out of left field. And maybe that's what G.I. Joe could end up being, but I'd rather see him do these really interesting character explorations and character-driven pieces. And G.I. Joe and Transformers aren't the properties that come to mind when I think about exploring that kind of side of your acting chops.
Yes, yeah. Not the next Rush for him.
Sure, exactly.
Now, of course, the next big question is, number one, the next two big questions are, number one, who is Chris Pratt going to play? And number two, who is Paul Walter Hauser going to play?
Yeah.
Because they're going to have to make room for those two guys in the same. Look, let me be very sincere with you guys here. Well, I'm like, I don't know that they should do a Transformers G.I. Joe. Are they just going to hack this thing together and put it out? Okay, I can say all that. But here's the truth. Inside of me, there's a little, 12-year-old John Campea who the idea of a live-action G.I. Joe and Transformers movie on the big screen is pee-inducing. I mean, listen, if you can actually make, and I don't know that they can, I'll be really honest, I have my doubts that they can make something good out of this. But if they can, if they end up making a good, fun Transformers G.I. Joe crossover, I have a hard time coming up with the words that will properly express my pure unbridled happiness. I will be I will be like a freaking kid in a candy store if they're able to do this.
Part of me kind of wishes that G.I. Joe has a movie, their Bumblebee, you know? Like, you know how Bumblebee was like a surprise? They kind of went back down to its roots.
Well, Snake Eyes. That was what Snake Eyes was supposed to be.
I kind of wish, but that movie wasn't good.
No, that's the problem. Yeah.
I kind of wish that instead of working on Rise of the Beast, maybe they worked on a good G.I. Joe movie and then done this crossover. Because now after Rise of the Beast, it kind of feels like it's just going to be obnoxious. It might be fun, but it's just going to be... Like, imagine the G.I. Joes come in the Bumblebee setting of that movie where it's just down to earth. Mm-hmm. Then it would be a little bit more believable.
Well, you know what it's all going to come down to for me? This is where it will be determined if I get legitimately excited about this movie or just dread it's coming. Who's going to direct it? Because if all of a sudden out of nowhere, like a Wes Ball or a Travis Knight, or who are the two guys directing Bad Boys for Life?
Check.
I'm freezing out. Anyway,
right.
if you suddenly come out of you come out of nowhere and you drop an exciting name or a pair of names as being the directors of this thing, because to me it all comes down to who's directing, right? That's the most important factor. Who's directing? If they all of a sudden drop some exciting name as the director of it, I'm going to be super excited about this movie. If they drop, from the creators of Madam Web, then I'm probably going to be not so enthusiastic.
My good points about like what I'm excited about for this movie is that we're going to get new Transformers, obviously. Like the ones that actually we see the Joes inside and actually going into battle with them. Like, I don't know if they're going to just redo Optimus so he fits that, or they're going to introduce new Transformers. Because usually, like, the humans are out the vehicle when they go into battle, right? The humans,
of course, yes.
But this one...
They're not going to make them Robotechs where humans pilot the Transformers.
You don't think so in this movie?
No, because Transformers are...
Then what are the Joes going to do
They're
against Transformers?
sentient beings, though, and then somebody's inside of them. And did they consent? I don't know. That gets into a weird gray area.
I'm
like,
thinking,
I'm going to climb inside Optimus.
Maybe if they went in that route, we could get one of those, like,
No, because what's the point of a Transformer?
No, they'll transform. But then, like, usually...
But they're not in control of their own bodies?
I don't know.
Go watch the G.I. Joe. Go read the G.I. Joe
some...
Transformers comic book. They had many crossovers.
Are we assuming Decepticons are teamed up with Cobra?
That's probably going to be the assumption. Yeah. That Decepticon and Cobra... Like, listen, all I need, give me a 20-minute scene in some dark alley somewhere where Megatron and Cobra Commander and their completely ridiculous voices have like a 20-minute conversation about how they plan to take over the world. Have Brain come in too. I don't care. Yeah. Have them all work together. In a dark alley.
That's where we're handling.
I was like wondering where this was going. I'm like, slips him a 20, and what happens next is
they just pull out that Wolverine
Cobra Commander's discretion.
Have a nice time.
You had a deal.
That Destro's face, does the chrome go all the way down? No.
Oh, boy. You really thought of that one.
I'm just saying, you have Cobra Commander and Megatron talking to each other? Because don't forget, Cobra Commander and Starscream were voiced by the same guy. And they had the exact same voice. So it'd be cool. So yeah, I changed my mind. I want to see Cobra Commander talking to Starscream.
Just a bunch of them being like,
yeah.
I like how you sound, buddy.
Obviously, like, the Joe's theme has always been fighting against terrorists, right? Or like Cobra's considered like terrorists of
Yes.
Enemies of freedom.
So I wonder how they're gonna do the story on this one. I've never read the comics. All I've seen were the comic covers, and I always thought they looked cool. I know there's a couple toys out on the shelves right now with G.I. Joe and Transformers crossover. I think Baroness is in a Jeep, but it has missiles or whatever like that.
So do they bring back any of the old cast though? Like, does Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson come back as Roadblock? Do they get Henry Golding to come back as Snake Eyes?
And Shia LaBeouf with the Transformers.
Shia LaBeouf returns.
The thing
He's got some free time right now.
When we think about like the cats and stuff, it's Bruce Willis. Obviously,
obviously that can't happen.
I know, but I'm just saying that's what makes me sad about it because like you know, I like seeing him on
Channing
screen.
Tatum?
Channing Tatum, he died, I think.
He did, but it's a movie, not
Yeah.
really dead. You don't even have to say it's in continuity.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe he's part Transformer now. Then, like, sort of like RoboCop.
That's not how Transformers work, Ray.
Like RoboCop.
I see. So they kind of like, yeah, they're like cyborgs.
I mean, listen,
cybernetic.
Jurassic Park didn't work that way until we had Clone Girl.
That's true.
So we can just mess up everything.
That's true.
I can't believe they're still going through with this movie, to be honest.
But that's the thing. Look, I am shocked. I'm shocked they're still going through this movie. I am. And I think it goes against all traditional wisdom. And I really have some serious doubts that it can A, be any good, and B, be successful at all. But I'm just telling you, if they manage to crack the code, and I'm not saying they will, I'm not even saying I believe they will, but if they do, I'm gonna be so freaking happy.
It's gonna open up with someone says bring back Megan Fox. It's gonna open up with Megan Fox getting off a motorcycle.
Yeah, though that's only if Michael Bay directs it.
Yeah.
And obviously, with these being Hasbro properties, we're going to get some spoilers even before the movie comes out with their reveals of the toys that come out.
They'll probably time that a little bit better. A little. Plus, what's there to spoil in a
I mean, not
Transformers
spoil,
G.I.
but
Joe
we'll
movie?
get to see what it looks like to maybe get a hint of the theme they're going for, or what sort of like movie they're going to go for. If it's going to be kooky,
I think we have
if
an
it's going
idea
to be
of what they're gonna go
serious.
for.
Come on, John.
I mean, it. I want. Here's what it should be. Okay.
Okay, it should be. Okay.
Here's what it should
Strong words. It should be.
be. 75% just ridiculous, or 70% ridiculous fun, 30% serious. You know, don't let it go too silly, whatever. Just be fun, like the original cartoons were and stuff like that. But also tap in a little bit of the 30%, recognizing that everybody who grew up watching these things were now older adults, and put a little bit of have some real stakes in there. And I think you could just look. All I can see is in my head is this big battlefield in the salt flats of Nevada. I don't know if Nevada has salt flats, but if they do, we're just racing down. You got Joes and all their classic vehicles and Autobots race alongside of them. Camera cuts. You got like, and Megatron's going to have to be his tank form. He can't be his handgun form. But you got Megatron racing down.
And Optimus is still an 18-wheeler.
And Optimus
It gets a tank. Come
It's
on.
just, and like going towards each other. And it's like, yes, that's your trailer. You just put that trailer. I will buy $5,000 worth of tickets.
I'll tell you one word that'll get me there. The very first
Trench
showing,
coat.
Serpentor.
But isn't Serpentor
Serpentor, John.
Isn't
that-
that later?
I don't care.
Is
I
it
don't
okay?
think they
but
had
then-
time to build this world.
Yeah,
Just
you
put
gotta
Put him in there.
build
Throw
up
him in.
Serpentor.
You're throwing everything else in there. Just throw him in there. I don't care if he's in the back.
Who do we say? Oh yeah, Pedro Pascal Serpentor.
There we go.
Pedro Pascal Serpentor.
Amazing.
And in which case you got to have the Weather Dominator. Like you can't have Serpentor without the Weather Dominator,
And Dr.
right?
Mindbender. Come on. With
I think your point though is solid here though. If you look at, and I know this is a different property, but if you look at something like X-Men 97, of your audience is older and you still can have the, oh my stars and garters moments and all of those things that are just like, those were cheesy moments
Yep.
from the 90s show. And there's some fun, ridiculous stuff. We have everybody playing a video game and then we go to Genosha and things get really horrible, right? You can do that with something like this, where you recognize where this property was and where it can be now. So you can still have fun, but also raise those stakes and make it feel more lived in, realistic, all those things.
So much to do. And then you get, why am I freezing on? Danny DeVito as Destro. Danny
Okay,
DeVito as
genuinely in.
Destro. Right there. All done.
He's just always eating a sandwich.
It's just so easy.
I would watch that.
he has control of the
I would get
biggest
those tickets. I love him.
All right, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? Chris Hemsworth apparently is getting ready to sign the dotted line. I mean, there's a chance it could fall through, but it looks like it's going to happen, to star in the new Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover. This movie is happening, apparently. Who knew? What do you think about that? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Before we go on into the most important part of our show, which is taking your comments and questions, of course, we're going to take a second and thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at The Perfect Gene and Miracle Made. Guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's video, Miracle Made. Did you know that your temperature at night can have one of the greatest impacts on your sleep quality? If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Inspired by NASA, Miracle Made uses silver-infused fabrics and makes temperature-regulating bedding so that you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. When they arrived at our house, my wife Ann loved the feel of them so much, she couldn't even wait for me to get home to put them on our bed. Miracle Made has self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevents up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. Miracle Sheets also have incredible comfort and quality. Miracle Sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands and feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels. So go to TryMiracle, that's TryMiracle.com/Campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Campea at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you will get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to TryMiracle.com/Campea and use the code Campea to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's TryMiracle.com/Campea to treat yourself. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, The Perfect Jean. Guys, are you tired of the rough and rigid jeans crushing your boys? Well, today's sponsor, The Perfect Jean, finally solved all of your denim difficulties. They make great looking, perfect fitting jeans that are as comfortable as sweatpants. The secret? A special denim fabric that is super soft and has the perfect amount of stretch so you can squat, do yoga, or just sit around all day without ever having to take them off. I'm going to admit I was a little bit skeptical because to me, jeans have always been jeans. They're practical, but not always the most comfortable. But I'm telling you guys, it's not an exaggeration. Once I put on these jeans, the Perfect Jean redefined what jeans can be to me. They're the perfect fit, they stretch, they breathe, and again, they're just insanely comfortable. So guys, it's finally time to stop crushing your balls in uncomfortable jeans by going to theperfectjean.nyc/Campea15. Our listeners get 15% off your first order plus free shipping, free returns and free exchanges when you use code Campea15 at checkout. Again, that's 15% off for new customers at theperfectjean.nyc/Campea15 and use the code Campea15. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the John Campea Show and tell them we sent you. And thank you to our friends at The Perfect Jean and Miracle Made for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, with that down, let's get on to the key things here, guys, which is your thoughts, theories, opinions, and questions. Jonathan, what we got up first?
We got Suthius, who says, since it seems that the King storyline is continuing, I can see Esposito be one variant we haven't seen yet, the one and only Mr. Griffin, CEO of Kang Industries, which was, we saw an Easter egg in the void. Perhaps he can be the antagonist of Vision's new series.
Zero chance. And here's why I say, like in a vacuum, I would say, hey, that could work. Here's why I'll say zero chance. Everything that Giancarlo Esposito has said about his upcoming character totally goes against that. Number one, he's hinted that it's a character we have not seen before. Well, we just haven't seen this variant. Nah, I didn't get the impression of that. Plus, he said it's a character that's going to be teased, which we've already had a ton of Kang, and then a series. I don't think they're giving Kang his own series, a Disney Plus series. So, I mean, while in a vacuum, what you're suggesting sounds kind of feasible, it flies against everything Giancarlo Esposito has hinted at as to what it's going to be. So that's why I really think it's probably a 0% chance it happens. But who knows? Anything's possible. All right, what's next?
Will says, just a quick thank you for all you guys do. Your show airs right at my young daughter's bedtime, and she won't settle unless I'm lying on the floor beside her bed for a while until she falls asleep. So I stick an AirPod in, start the show, and chill.
You don't let her listen to our fucking show?
I was going to say, please put those pods in.
Yes, please put the AirPods in. You know, I love all through the years getting messages from people who talk about where and when they listen. And honestly, in my own defense, I think compared to me about 5 years ago, I try to keep the show a little bit cleaner than maybe I did about 5 years ago.
Apologies.
I mean, yes, some innuendo, but the kids won't understand that anyway. Because I've had so many people write to me saying, I love watching your show with my son, and then I feel bad. and I love watching a show with my kids, and then I feel bad.
I mean, they're gonna learn one way or another.
Yeah, they're going to learn one way or the other. Anyway, but thank you for letting us be there as a part of that great special time that you have with your kid, man. That's nice. All right, what's next?
Mike says, "Hey fellas, last night Kimmel had on Ki Kwan as the main guest, and all he was there to do was full on promote season 2 of Loki, but said he won't be in Deadpool and Wolverine. I bet Disney Marvel want more people to know about the TVA before Deadpool and Wolverine."
Why are they promoting
Seems
Loki
really
season 2 right
old,
now?
yeah.
I don't believe this man. I watched this clip and I was like, there's no way he is not in this movie. He just lied straight to Kimmel's face. And my husband and my friends were all like, oh, absolutely. There's no way that it's just, oh, yeah, you should watch season 2. It could be so that you know a little bit about the TVA. It could be that. But why wouldn't you have him in there? Yeah. Everybody's in Deadpool. Why wouldn't you put Oscar winner Ki Kwan in there? A delightful role.
It would make sense. I mean, the TVA's clearly, I mean, again, the stuff they showed us at CinemaCon was very TVA centric. So it would make sense for him to be there. With him, especially since he's like America's sweetheart right now, and he's got his Oscar, I would think if he was going to be in it, you play into that and you let the world know that, hey, this dude that everybody in the world loves right now, he's going to be in Deadpool. So I kind of, but again, I need to ask, why are they promoting Loki season 2?
Yeah.
That a show that came out last year.
Are they going for nominations?
Are they
for
doing more of
Loki?
these things where they're taking the show and putting it on ABC?
Oh, that's
Because they did that with Ms.
possibility.
Marvel, right?
Oh, maybe.
I don't know, but they did that with Ms. Marvel, so maybe that's
Maybe.
something they're doing.
That could be.
I'd have to
but-
watch the interview. He may say like, you catch it on ABC after the interview or
Like,
whatever.
and he's very sweet and earnest in it, and I don't want him to be a liar, but I didn't want Andrew Garfield to be a liar either. And each time he showed up on things, I was like, "You are so full of shit."
So full of crap. All right, what's next?
Say My Name says, I really wanted to say my name.
Say my name.
One or two.
Caught up, one of 3 actually. They
Oh.
lied. They pulled a.
Just like Ki Kwan.
Yep. Caught up on Marvel's What If series. For me, season 1 had me more hooked than X-Men 97, and the storyline of Ultron was fascinating. Jeffrey Wright as the Watcher with his voice is so soothing. I love a new take on a live-action Watcher. And it got me wondering, is this how the MCU progresses with the X-Men and F4 coming? And it could be an easier way to explain vampires for Blade. Giancarlo Esposito as the Watcher, connecting the films for Avengers films. That's how Stark and Cap returns, by the way. And actually, this is a different thing. So yeah, that we're good on that.
That was kind of all over the place. I wasn't really following what he was trying to say.
Having Giancarlo Esposito play the Watcher in live action. Which
Why wouldn't you just get Jeffrey
Jeffrey
Wright?
Wright, exactly. Who we have a precedent for him taking the roles he's voiced and doing them in live action. So, I mean, why wouldn't he do it? He's
Yep.
not standing actor.
By the way, popping up in Last of Us season 2.
Exactly.
Which is great. Yeah, I don't see it. I wish I could say I liked What If more. I like What If season 1 to me had a couple of episodes that were bangers that I really did like. They were fun. But at the end of watching it, I just felt like it was a pointless exercise. Nothing in What If really means anything. And that's fine if it's all great, but I didn't find it all great. And what I liked about season 2 was they try to more connect a one through story a
Yeah.
little bit better than they did with the Ultron stuff in the first season. But I found it even a little bit less enjoyable than season 1. So I have not been a big fan of the What If stuff, to be honest with you.
Season 2, I feel like if you go into it going, this is Marvel fan fiction, then you have
Yeah.
a better time, because then it's, okay, what if Marvel made Blade Runner? Is kind of how you just approach everything. What if Marvel made Die Hard? And then those moments feel more fun because it's just, they're just playing with genre and they're playing with different movie tropes. If you go into it, in my personal opinion, wanting this to be more MCU connected goodness, you're not going to have as enjoyable of a time. But if it's like, this is fun fan fiction that got produced, that'll be nice.
I will say this about season 1. So my favorite episode, like everybody's in season 1, was probably the Doctor Strange one. That was a wonderful episode. But the one I like almost as much, and this episode almost by itself made the series work for me, was the episode where Hank Pym kills the Avengers. And I loved that episode because to me, you can have all the superpowers you want. It's a Batman thing. You can have all the superpowers you want. You can come from the stars. You can have radioactive whatever. Don't mess with the smartest guy in the room. And you get into that episode where, rightly or wrongly, fairly or unfairly, Hank Pym perceived that he was wronged. And he kills Hulk. He kills all of them. Never piss off the smartest guy in the room. That's why I love that episode. I thought it was great. Anyway, all right, what's next?
CPU sends in a $20 tip and says, I watched a YouTube video of 80s, 90s cartoons, and it got me thinking about them being done as live actions. Are there any you would like to see in live action? I think Transformers and G.I. Joe would be cool if they ever did that.
Really, Transformers, I mean, there was some of the Japanese stuff. Obviously, the one I talk about all the time, and I know there was an Asian version, but it wasn't very good, is Space Battleship Yamato, also known as Star Blazers.
That would be really cool.
That would be killer. I would love that. A lot of people have talked for a long time about a Robotech or about a Voltron. There have been several attempts to try to get a Voltron up and going. But then, there's a question. Do you do the 5 Lions Voltron? Do you do the 10 Ships Voltron? I mean, which one do you do? I think you go the Lions. So yeah, there's a few of them out there, but the main one is the one they've already done, which is, for me, Transformers. All right, what's next?
We got Say My Name Is Back says, what's the point of going to movies when I can watch a few weeks later on TV? Literal words from my... Oh, no, we read that one already. We read that one.
What about CPU?
CPU we just did. Yeah. This when I did hit a refresh on it, it like mixed it up. Rewatch Castaway. Okay, yeah. Selma McShave. I rewatched Castaway with Tom Hanks. He does such an epic performance in that film. The bittersweet ending always gets me in the feels. Also, the body transformation must be one of the most extreme in movies. The one that may beat it is Raging Bull.
Oh, or The Machinist.
Yeah, The Machinist.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, The Machinist is a good one too. But
crazy.
Yeah, listen, The Castaway is such a special movie. About the reason to me it is so special is because it's about life, right? And it's about how things change so quickly and circumstances change so quickly. I mean, I've told the story before, but when I watched Castaway, it wasn't terribly long after one of my circle of friends, one of the people in my circle of friends had committed suicide. And Castaway comes out, and first of all, it's a Tom Hanks tour de force performance because he's him in a volleyball. I mean, that's the acting in the movie, and he absolutely kills it. But that scene when he's talking to his friend and explaining, well, what kept me going. He had tried to commit suicide and he wasn't able to do it. And what kept him going? And he said, because every day he would wake up and something else would wash up on shore that suddenly, and he says, I might not have the wording exact, but he said, I just kept going because you never know what the tide will bring in tomorrow. Like in a day, your circumstances can completely change. You got to be careful of it because it can be in a bad way, but also no matter how bad things look, something positive can happen tomorrow. And I just remember watching that movie and thinking, damn, I wish our friend could watch this before they did what they did. So it's a powerful, wonderful movie. That's a very, very special place in my heart. All right. What's next?
Cool Kid says, with both Sherman Brothers no longer with us, what is your favorite song that they did? Well, definitely not It's a Small World, because that's the devil. But something from Mary Poppins for me.
Oh.
I don't know enough of Disney history to know which ones they did, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so many. But...
Yeah, I just don't know. Were they featured in Saving Mr. Banks? Were they the two guys?
I think they were the two guys.
Yeah, was that the two guys? That was brilliantly portrayed, by the way. Yeah, so you know what that just reminded me of? My wife Ann told me 2 days ago, because we were in downtown Disney, and we went into this art shop, and there was this great portrait from Robin Hood. Remember with the fox? Robin Hood and Little John running through the forest. I love that movie. She's never seen it. I know. Like,
she's so lucky she gets to experience it.
We are going to sit down and watch Robin Hood for the first time. So I don't know if they wrote any of the music from that. I
see the Jungle Book from 1967. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the
There's a
Aristocats.
couple of bangers.
Ooh,
in
I want to
Jungle
be
Book.
like you from Jungle Book.
Yeah.
Wanna be like
That's
you.
such a
And on
good
the Brew
song.
Sticks. Yeah, Charlotte's Web. Bunch of
Oh,
stuff.
the Tiki Room is another one of those curse songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
But I tolerate that more.
All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Saturniman. Sorry, I didn't probably said that right. Now that Jeremy Renner has been cast in Wake Up Dead Man, it would be great to see him play a version of himself in the film. An actor who's retired from showbiz and just wants to focus on his small batch hot sauce company, as highlighted in Glass Onion.
Well, no, I don't want to see that. But somebody else after Jeremy Renner, they announced somebody else. Who was it? We had Glenn
Mila
Close.
Kunis.
Yeah, Mila Kunis.
Yeah.
Right.
Which that is a really kind of out of nowhere kind of name to drop in there. You add that, Mila Kunis, Jeremy Renner, Kerry Washington, Glenn Close. I mean, it's coming, and I still think the biggest names are to come. I don't have that anything to back that up with. I cannot wait. I love the Glass Onion movies. This is gonna be great. All right, what's next?
David Sharn says, "Hey, John and crew, love watching your show from Sydney, Australia.
Thank you, man.
First time writing in. My question is over or under 50%. We see a Deadpool joke about the giant celestial in the ocean in Deadpool and Wolverine. I'd say under.
Okay, a quick one-line joke.
I think Marvel's trying to get away from that as quickly as possible.
That's fine, which might just incentivize Ryan Reynolds to go right at it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over 50%. Like, again, I'm not saying they show it, but a quick joke about the ridiculousness of this multiverse nonsense. Not much over 50%, but I'll go over 50%. What do you think, Chris?
I would go over 50, especially when he's seeing all the various timeline issues and everything. Did you guys forget to pick that one up?
Yeah.
That seems like a thread that got to pull on.
I could see him picking out a lot of plot, like not plot holes, but continuity problems in their multiverse stuff. Like, did you really think this one through? Anyway, all right, what's next?
Joe person says, "Hi John, the other day you spoke about reducing the budget of a movie like Furiosa by 30%. Where do you think the studios can reduce those costs? Where do most of the costs come from? Should they be getting A24 on the phone for advice?"
Look, you'd have to sit down and look at a line by line thing of a budget to know exactly where it goes. Look, but the reality is this. When Neil Blomkamp can make District 9 it was under $30 million, a CGI, heavy effects movie, and he can make that for 30. I'm not saying every other movie can be made for 30, but do you need to be a $170 million movie? Particularly one that takes a lot in place in the desert and there are some big epic scenes. There are. But did it really cost $170 million to make that? And could somebody else could a better line producer come in and like get that same thing made for about 40 million less? I love Furiosa. I think the movie is fantastic. Maybe not quite as good as Fury Road, but I think it's fantastic personally. But I didn't see $170 million on screen.
No.
And there are there are some, but there are very, very few movies today that have like budgets over $150 million that I look at and say, I don't see where their money went. There's some expensive movies that are bad movies that I can at least still see where the money was spent. But like, there's a lot of movies today with certain budgets that I look at and say, I just don't see it.
Well, as an actor, I'm going to say this thing, actor salaries. A lot of times these big name actors make really, really bananas money. And I understand they've worked hard. They've gotten to a certain echelon, all of that. I feel this way about most jobs, though, of like, I don't know if anyone needs that much money, but okay. I think there's some wiggle room there to negotiate down and put the money into the film because some of those CGI scenes were rough in Furiosa.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some, but then some CGI was so brilliant and people didn't even realize it was CGI they were looking at, but they had some wonky
It seems too like budget wise, they had a lot of the elements figured out from Fury Road. It's sort of like when Star Wars went to Empire Strikes Back, they were able to up their game and the effects and everything, but they also had a lot of stuff figured out and streamlined and focused. So like for those budgets to kind of like be trimmed.
Yeah.
It's like, so I don't know what happened.
I remember there's a director who's a buddy of mine, and I won't say the name of the actor, but he was doing a movie, and of course, the director has no say in what the budget is or who gets paid what. That's all the producers and everything. But the actor that the producers had cast to be in it was going to end up eating up 40% of the budget. 40% of the budget. And he was very bitter about that. But I mean, it's so there, but at the same time, that's just one of the things that they overspend on, right? I'm definitely sure there's a lot of other things that spend too much money on. All right, what's next?
Just Curious says, hey, John, the Hollywood Reporter just reported that a new AI streamer service called Showrunner is coming soon. It allows users to create series and shows with prompts, complete with the ability to control dialogue, characters, and shot types, among other controls. Scary. To me, that just seems like a gamification, though, of something.
It just sounds like a game more than anything else, probably. Kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure kind of thing, really. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, can someone over at Lucasfilm hand Charles Dance a red lightsaber already? He has the screen presence of someone who was born to wield one. Star Wars is in need of a really powerful presence after Ray Stevenson left us, or better yet, cast Dance as Skull.
Okay, well, first thing I'm going to say is you don't write something around to accommodate bringing a talent in. You have something written, that's what you start with, and then you find somebody that really suits that well. And if they end up with something that you can bring in, first of all, Charles Dance is one of those guys, to use a phrase from Rob, that classes the joint up whenever he shows up in something. Even in something as horrible as Dracula Untold. Remember? He shows up at the very end.
Dracula Untold.
What's that?
I like that movie.
I forgot that you like that movie.
Is that the one with Luke Evans?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love Luke Evans. I adore Luke Evans. But oh man, I thought that
I mean,
movie
I
was
don't
rough.
love it, but I didn't think it was bad. Like the way you talk about it, I
Yeah.
didn't think about it that way.
It was pretty bad.
Should have been
Okay.
left untold.
I need to rewatch it then because I'm not even sure anymore now.
Maybe you should check. But Charles Dance is great. And if they had a role that Charles Dance would fit, great. But you never, ever, ever, ever. What you should never do is say, "Hey, we got Charles Dance here. Let's write something around that." That's how you end up with bad movies. So wait to see if you got. But if he ever did come in, now Charles is getting he's getting up there in age.
He's
now.
73.
You know what? That's not 73 isn't bad.
I mean, not to get all TMZ up in here, but 3 days ago he was photographed like on a beach, hanging out with a younger woman, looking trim. Like he's living his best life right now. So good for you, Charles.
I could see him more as like an imperial officer, like a Grand Moff of some
Oh,
sort.
yeah.
Oh, I
Like
could
that.
see him
fun.
as a moth. Oh my God, he'd be so good. But I could see him as Sith too, or a humble moisture farmer. Whatever. He's Charles Dance. He
Moisture
can do it all.
farmer.
He could be a
Yeah,
good
he's
guy.
farming some moisture right now
Just need moisture.
at the beach.
Oh God.
Yeah.
What?
He means the ocean. The ocean air.
All right, what's
There's
next?
kids watching. Mode Awesome says, on yesterday's show, you said it'd be uncomfortable if the jokes in Deadpool and Wolverine aren't funny. Another movie with great comedy and my whole theater laughed was Thor, Love and Thunder, which I loved, but others didn't. What if it's too funny?
No such thing as too funny.
It's so funny, no one laughed.
No, there's
Are
no
we
such
all
as too
Claire
funny.
Danes and Igby
You know-
goes down?
Here's the funny thing though about like Thor, Love and Thunder. Like, I don't hate Thor, Love and Thunder.
I do.
There are things I hate about it, but I would be lying to you if I said, and I think it's a clear big step down from Thor Ragnarok. I agree, it is. But it also did make me laugh a lot in certain spots. But then when they went too silly, it lost me laughing and all. But I saw it in theaters twice. The one theater I was in, there were some chuckles, there was a couple of giggles, and then the movie ended and everybody quietly left. Another screening I saw it in, the audience was howling. Like, even at that stupid, this is where the movie lost me, but even at this point, a lot of people are laughing when they bow the god of dumplings. Like, that's where the movie kind of lost me.
My
Like,
theater
that's
definitely
where they
got-
went way too far.
Yeah, my theater definitely got laughs throughout it.
But that screening, one screening, some giggles, some whatever. But this screen, the audience I was watching it with, like, was losing their minds laughing so hard.
But
And all
Deadpool's
that's
yeah.
great. I mean, comedy is really subjective.
And Deadpool's comedy is more like one-liners and quips. It's a little
Yes.
different. This was trying to do like in some instances pratfalls, which just didn't get like I didn't like that like Lady Thor, they turned her into a bro. Like she's supposed to be really intelligent and thoughtful.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, cool, man. So like she took off and like blasted through the ceiling, and then she comes back. She's I don't know where we're going. Nobody laughed at that because
Yeah.
no one believed that her character would do that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, and again, so like, I don't believe, because this is what happened to She-Hulk for me. that nothing will make the theater a more uncomfortable place than if the jokes in Deadpool don't work. If the jokes in Deadpool don't work, that movie's in trouble. But the little we've seen, they work. I see Paul Rudd's finally started to age. It's like, I don't know why that just killed me so much. All right.
Did it?
Oh, I love that. That was so funny.
Rick-
All right. What's next?
Rick Darklighter with a two-parter. Hey, John and crew. Chris, I told my wife about your pitch idea for the next Muppet movie with Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc and
Yes.
everyone else played by Muppets. She looked at me and sighed and said, but who would go see it besides you? Her words stung.
I
And
mean,
then-
I don't want to tell you to get a divorce, buddy.
Oh,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
I'm
kidding.
not saying I advocate
I'm not
divorce. but
saying
if
that
you
your
were
wife is
thinking
a
about
monster, but nah, there's people who'd see it. If it's just me and you in the theater, bud, we'll have a great time. It's gonna be fun.
It's grounds for divorce. Rick Darklighter says, while I grew up watching all the Muppet films on VHS or taped off TV and reruns of The Muppet Show and Sesame Street growing up, I know it's not easy being green. Is the love of Muppet puppeteering gone? What would it take for the magic to come back?
That's an entirely separate topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
To a degree, but-
what was that damn movie that came out 4 or 5 years ago that was like it imagined the world where puppets and humans live side by side?
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a murder mystery. There's a murder.
it was that gross one too. They
And
had
it
like
was
that-
really R-rated.
Oh, I
It
forgot.
was the Happy Time Murders.
I'll tell you
Happy
what,
Time Murders.
that did not get a great response critically
No.
or financially. I loved that movie. I laughed so hard in that movie. I mean, then you've had Angel did the whole Muppet episode where they turned into Muppets, and then I think there
The
was
Boys
then
did
the
it.
Boys just recently did it, or
Yeah.
Gen V, I should say,
Yeah.
just recently did it. I don't know that a big Muppet thing is ever gonna have a big resurgence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I
Maybe
don't know.
not.
What do you think?
I mean, unfortunately, there was a really great show that you can watch on Disney Plus where it's the Muppets, but in a situational office style show that was hilarious. And once they got a second new showrunner on that, it really hit its stride, but it got canceled. And that was so unfortunate because it was a grown up Muppet show that was really fun and had
How long
innuendo.
ago was this?
This was maybe 6 years ago or so.
That's not the one that Josh Gad was supposed to be show running, was it?
It could have been.
Okay, anyway.
But it was a delightful show. But then you also have things on the more serious side of Henson Projects, right? Where you have the Dark Crystal
Yeah.
series that was on Netflix.
Oh,
That was
God.
amazing. That won Emmys. That was critically acclaimed. And then they pulled the plug on that. So I feel like there's people who would enjoy certain things because we also, for the most part, I think people like practical effects and things. I think we still have that love, especially if you go look at 1980s films where you go, oh, that effect still holds up because that's practical and that looks cool. Not always the case, but usually something like Labyrinth or things like that. I think it just needs the right story. And oh, the Vector Cave brings up a great point. Fraggle Rock came back. Fraggle Rock
That's
is doing
true.
well.
That's yeah.
And so maybe it's just there is a younger, maybe they're skewing towards younger audiences, and there's room for that to be opened up because the Muppets are for everybody.
Now, I've not seen any of the Return of Fraggle Rock yet. I watched it a lot as a
precious.
kid. But is the Great Trash Heap back?
Yes.
Oh, they did bring
Yes.
back the Trash
Yeah.
Heap. Okay, well, all right. All right, what's next?
Jeremy from Mid Michigan says, "Hey John, I've been a fan of the channel since Man of Steel.
Oh,
And
thank you, man.
One of the areas I remember most vividly is Movie Pass days.
Yeah.
There's a new documentary on Max called Movie Pass, Movie Crash, and you're in it with 4 minutes left. Thanks for all the filthy.
They had the John Campea footage. They thought we just need something to
Sticking
bring it home.
Yeah.
To bring it home.
Bring it home,
I'm
baby.
surprised I'm not on the movie poster, to be honest with you. But here was the thing. The promise of Movie Pass. You look, $10 a month for one movie a day, every day. When the average cost of a ticket was like $12. And it was great, but everybody with an ounce of common sense went, this is great, but this can't possibly work. And obviously it didn't work. It fell to pieces. By the way, the new Movie Pass is, if you're not somebody who lives right by an AMC and can't have an A-list, is great. It's like a couple plans, $30 a month for 3 movies a month, $40 a month for 4 movies a month. especially if you live in an area where a movie's like $17 a ticket or $15 a ticket, you're literally saving a couple bucks every single time you go. I think it's still great. It's a great idea. I love that they're doing it and they're actually profitable right now, but it represented such a promise. I wish they could come up with something
Yeah.
that was like made financial sense for customers, for the studios, for the movie theaters, where an audience could do something like that. A-list is the closest thing there is to it right now. Where you pay your $25 a month, you get 3 movies a week, any format, 3D, IMAX, Prime, no upcharge, nothing. And you like 12 movies a month for $25. Now, AMC can make that work because they're also making money off us going into the theater and buying popcorn and soda and candy, which is why MoviePass tried their extortion racket on the theater saying, give us a cut of your concession stands.
Yeah.
They're like, no, thank you. We're not going to do that. But I mean, it would be great if somebody else could come up with something that just kind of blanketed all theaters. I think that'd be great. All right, what's next?
Danito says DiCaprio's really worked with every major director in the past 30 years. Cameron, Spielberg, Nolan, Scorsese, Tarantino, Scott, Lerman, Inarritu, Allen, even Raimi.
Yeah.
Don't think any other actor even comes close.
You know, I've never thought about it in those terms, but you very well may be right. I don't know if there is an actor who has worked with so many of the all-time greats. And that's a testament to how good he is. I still remember I watched it late. I was late to it, but What's Eating Gilbert Grape? That was after he was already on the cover of every teeny bopper magazine, and all of us were getting effing sick of that dude's face. We were all getting sick and tired of Leonardo DiCaprio's face because he was on every cover of all the teeny boppers and all the girls' walls and all that kind of stuff. And then I saw, again, it was late. I finally got around to watching What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and I went, oh, now I get it. This dude's special. And you can see it when he was young. Like, this dude is special. And you just see it through his career. He is I don't think he's a top 3 actor today, but he's one of the best. He's in that, any conversation about the top 10 actors working today, I think DiCaprio's got to be in that conversation every time. He's got a consistency to him. He's got a depth to him. He's got a chameleon-like nature. He's just really, really good. He's a good actor, man. All right, what's next?
3-parter from Save Legends of Tomorrow. Lately, every time another big movie underperforms at the box office like Furiosa, I swear there are thousands of posts on social media of people saying some variation of, I want to see this movie, but I'm going to wait until I can stream it. Apart from event films like Barbie, a movie making over $360 million globally, is near impossible now. Dune, Godzilla, Kung Fu Panda are the only ones this year that have done so. Meanwhile, low-budget mini blockbusters like Five Nights at Freddy's are the films making studios consistent profits. If cinema attendance stays well below pre-pandemic levels, do studios drastically cut production costs, or do they start looking for alternatives to distribution models? That's possibly become dated.
Different models don't make any money. That's the problem with that. But in all those conversations and I brought this up the other day, everybody keeps forgetting this. The strikes. The strikes killed this year. So many big, high-profile projects got pushed off because the studios and everything, because we had like 3+ months of work stoppage and all that kind of stuff. We literally went through weeks without new product coming into theaters. This is an industry where we're accustomed to 3, sometimes 4 major wide release films coming out every single week, going back pre-pandemic times. Unless you had a massive blockbuster come out, then some would try to steer clear of it. But like 2, 3, 4 major projects a week would come out. This year has been very, very different. It's been absolutely crippled. Now, we are also movie fans are prisoners of the moment. One movie, like one R-rated movie is a hit. It's like, everything's changed now. All movies should be R-rated because they're all going to make $1 billion because that's what just happened right now. Or, a movie or 2 flop. But listen, I've been watching movies for 40 years, and like every time there's 1 or 2 flops, it's like, everything's done now. let's wait and see what happens when Inside Out 2 comes out. Let's wait and see what happens when Joker 2 comes out. Let's wait and see what happens when Deadpool and Wolverine comes out. Let's wait and see what happens when Despicable Me 4 comes out, and a couple of others. Like, yeah, this year has been in the shitter, but a lot of us said in 2023, 2024 was going to be a really rough year because a lot of the product's not there. And then you get a movie like Furiosa, where a bunch of us were like inexplicably and stupidly thought was going to be a huge hit, when the reality was the movie that came before it, Fury Road, didn't even make as much money as Black Adam. Nobody saw it. Didn't even make as much as Black Adam. And it was it's a prequel to a 9-year-old. Look, so all I'm saying is, what we have had up until now is not what you would say would be the proper, what's the words I'm looking for? Anyway, it's not the slate that we should be judging anything on. Like, let's see how the rest of now look, if Despicable Me 4 and Joker and Deadpool and Wolverine, if all these underperform, yeah, then there's more serious conversation that need to happen. But I think all those movies are going to make a lot of money. And then we'll get into 2025 when everything's back on track. So, yeah, everybody, when these conversations come up about 2024 struggling, they all keep forgetting that a lot of people said 2024 was going to struggle up to a point because a lot of product got moved out. We're still dealing with the repercussions of the strikes that happened. Let's see what happens later. Then we'll have some deeper conversations, I think. All right, what's next?
All right. Swanson Burgundy with a two-parter says, I ditched going to the theaters last year because of the reasons you listed, plus constantly awful audience etiquette. Honestly, I haven't looked back. Well, I'll never have 10 out of 10 movie experience again because you can't replicate elements of IMAX or Dolby. But I can reliably and affordably get a 7 or even an 8 out of 10 movie watching experience at our home. I save on gas money. I save travel time. I have fresher, more varied snacks, no ads. I can pause for the bathroom. And other than myself, no obnoxious a-holes.
Here, though, is the problem. This is where the problem is. And we've already seen it start to happen. We said years ago, I mean, not just me, like a lot of people said years ago, that, one of the problems with streaming on the television side is that there's no incentive for streamers to keep popular shows going. Because popular shows don't actually make any money. They get in hopefully a swath of new subscribers. Then at some point, a show stops getting new subscribers. Doesn't matter how many people are watching. It's very, very rare. Very rare. It's like 1 out of 100 that a Stranger Things or The Crown comes along that actually will go past 3 seasons, right? The vast, vast, vast majority. And that's just part of the reality of that. With movies, like event sort of things, one-time, one-shot event kind of things, here's what's going to happen. And we've already seen it start to happen. There's no incentive to the streamers to make the movies as good as possible. Mm-hmm. The incentive for regular theatrically released movies is the better you make the movie, the more money it'll make. Not that every good movie makes money, but every good movie makes more money than it would have if the movie was bad. You see what I'm saying? That's the logic. So there's always a financial incentive to make movies as good as possible. The world of streaming is not that. The world of streaming, so you can get a piece of shit movie like the new...
like Atlas.
That's what I was going to bring up. You can see, this is what Netflix knows. We can throw out a piece of total shit garbage like Atlas, and it doesn't matter. Everybody's going to see Halle Berry on the poster. It's a little sci-fi thing, and it'll become...
Oh, that one's Jennifer Lopez.
Jennifer Lopez. So thank you. Yeah. So you're going to see Jennifer Lopez. I'm thinking of the one with the 2 kids in the post-apocalyptic world. That one I'm looking forward to. That one's coming to theaters, though. So they know they can put together this piece of shit movie. Doesn't matter if it's garbage. Makes no difference because nobody has to pay for it, so people will just click on it and watch it. Same thing that happened with Chris Evans' Ana de Armas movie. That horrible piece of shit. What was that called again? Ghosted?
Yes.
Yeah, Ghosted.
Yeah.
I love Ana de Armas. I love Chris Evans. That movie was dog shit. And you know what? The studio knew it was dog shit. And that is your future of movies. I'm just telling you. that's the future of movies. Every once in a while, we'll get a real special, The Irishman. Every once in a blue moon, we'll get something that's a real, like, that's even an Oscar contender. Every once in a while, we'll get something that's decent. An Old Guard, an Adam Project,
A Eurovision.
a Eurovision even.
Ugh, so good.
But 99 out of every 100 movies that are going to come out, today it's like 1 out of every 4 is good. 3 out of every 4 is bad. We're going to miss those days because there is no incentive to the streamers to actually make them good. Streamers have more invested in series because series have a longer shelf life. Series does more for them, and even those they cut short. Movies, we're fucking doomed. We're doomed. Once movies are all about just the home streaming thing and streamers lose all incentive to make them as good as possible, that's it. That's what our future is. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Well, on that high note, Cam says, hey, John and crew, these past couple of weeks, I've grown interested in having a home theater. Any tips or tricks or key items I should start off with besides a projector? You don't even need a projector, but a good sized screen.
Not even necessarily a projector. The downside of a projector, and bring up Ray's shot for a second. That thing behind him, and Jonathan's too. You see, that is a 150-inch screen. And Hisense, I didn't pay for it. Hisense sent me like a $4,000 short throw laser projector, which the short throw means it literally sits right up against the bottom of the screen and it projects upwards. And so it doesn't have to sit in the back of the room. And it was great. And Ann and I used this room as a theater room before we moved back in. But here's the problem with it. Can't use it in the daytime. Unless you literally black out all your windows. Like even curtains won't do it. You got to black out your windows. So even a good size screen like us today, you can get a 75-inch TV for like $600.
Dude, I couldn't believe I was in Costco, 75-inch, $500. It was $497.
Yeah.
I'm like, I went back. I'm like, wait, is it broken?
Yeah, no.
I don't understand.
And they're 4K and they look great and all that kind of stuff.
Granted, it's not OLED, but it's still great.
Yeah.
I would say if you're going to drop any bullion on a home theater system, I'd say put your money not so much into the screen, a 75-inch screen, $500, 85-inch screen. Ann and I bought an 85-inch screen for our living room because it was on sale for like $700 or $800. So we were like, okay, I guess we can do that. So we went and did that. I would say put money into your sound. That's where it really gets. So I've always been notoriously cheap. I've notoriously just gone up and buy, hey, this $65 sound bar looks good and it sounds fine. And then a friend of mine was like, John, because I'm super cheap. John, you got to get this Sonos. Got to get the Sonos. And it was actually cheaper than I thought it would be. I think I dropped about $500-600 on the Sonos, but I love it. So I would say even today's decent TVs are really good. And if you're on a budget, I would say put a little bit more money into your audio than your picture even. What do you got? What kind of stuff do you guys have?
Ours is, we have like hand-me-downs from people where every time people upgrade their stuff, we're like, we'll take your things. My recommendation, because I also am an incredibly cheap human being, all of the stuff I buy is always used. And so a lot of times I will get floor models from Best Buy and things like that. And that way I'll get, the bigger TV or the nicer sound system or things like that, just because then I get a discount on it. This is the first time I might actually get a sound system because I've lived in apartments for the past decade and been above somebody, and I try to be a nice neighbor.
Yeah, that makes
and
it
now
tricky.
I finally live in a house, so I think I might get some sweet, sweet sound.
Nice. All right, what's next?
All right, Matan says, here's an idea how to make budgets cheaper. Maybe don't pay a sky-high salary for CEOs who keep making bad steps, like avoidable strikes with SAG, WGA, soon, the Animation Guild. Don't pay for yachts and more for investing in the workers.
Yep, none of that goes to a movie's budget.
That's unfortunately. That goes to the corporate.
Yeah, so none of that none of that is a part of a movie's budget. So you could pay a studio CEO nothing and it will not change $1 on a movie budget slide. It's just the reality.
If anything, they'll get more of that if the movies are successful. So,
and let me tell you something. I know this is a very unpopular thing to say. A good CEO is worth every dollar they get. You look at AMC theaters. They had a great CEO. He was worth every freaking dollar. He took AMC through such a period of growth and advancement and just growing the company and success and whatever. And then they got in the, fucking Emperor Lord Clown, Adam Aaron over there, who's been running that company into the ground. A good CEO, and then you can debate about who is or is not a good CEO, but somebody to run your $20 billion business, you better have the best person, the smartest guy in the room. It's just examples over and over again. When you get great companies who have great women or men as their head chair leaders, CEOs, it can make all the difference in the world. And then somebody bad comes in and it completely... MoviePass is a great example of that. MoviePass had a great founding CEO who was growing that business, blah, blah, and then they brought in this other CEO, and all of a sudden MoviePass became a national disgrace and ran into the ground. A good CEO is the most important person you have in your organization. I've never been one. I never will be one, because I'll never be smart enough to be one. But I mean, I know it's the cool thing just to rail against whoever the boss is, but the right person in that office, the right man or woman in that office, makes all the difference in the world as to whether or not your organization is going to be successful or not. Just is. All right, what's next?
Mr. I says, hello, John, Ray, Jonathan, Chris. I've been laid up in the hospital since Monday with a severe bacterial infection.
Oh, that sucks.
Thank you all for putting a smile on my face as I endure this. We'll be having partial, amputation of my left foot to remove infected bone.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my-
Mr.
A portion of the
I.
bone will have to be infected.
I'm so sorry.
Oh
That's
my
horrible.
God, that sucks, dude. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I'm glad we can keep you mildly entertained during this. I hope you have a lot of good drugs.
Just keep listening to the
yeah.
soothing tone of my voice. Just focus on my voice.
Oh.
That could make things worse.
I'm so sorry, and I hope you recover well. Gosh, that's
Yeah.
I wonder
scary.
if that's the same thing.
Well, it could have been, dude.
maybe.
You could have been in
Yeah.
big
Mine
trouble.
was bacteria too, or it was like
You
an
could have been
infection.
in big trouble.
Yeah.
Ooh, they said.
Yeah, but I bet he didn't wait 8 months to go to the doctor to have it
Well,
looked
you
at.
know what? Sometimes you got to test your pain threshold. No, don't do that. Anybody, don't do that. I'm just an example of what you shouldn't do. And
For months, Ray was like, no, it's getting better.
yeah,
I
it's getting
stuck
better.
some peanut
And then
butter
it will
on it.
just
It's
like
fine.
bleed again the next day. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I
I'm sorry you have
just
to go
don't-
through this. I'm
okay.
glad you're in good spirits.
I just remembered when finally, after telling him for months to go and get his foot looked at, that finally he goes into the hospital. He's getting his foot taken. We won't go into all the gory details about what the doctors had to do to his foot and all that kind of stuff. But I remember stepping out and then coming back. You were a little bit out. I don't even know if you remember this properly, but Anne and her sister raised 2 siblings. All I remember is coming down the hall, getting close to your room, and all I hear is Anne and Olive laying into you. Particularly Olive.
Yeah.
Was it like
I
don't
knew
you
it-
ever do that?
I knew
Like,
what I did was
they were-
so good.
They were so pissed at you.
that when I first took off my sock or whatever, and the person examining it said, "What the hell? Why'd you wait so long?" He was like freaking out, and I was like, "Okay,
Your
maybe-
foot was black.
it looks
Your
normal.
foot was
It
black.
looks normal now. I mean, I thank you to all the doctors, but yeah, don't do that. As soon as that's what you get health insurance for. If something doesn't feel right, go in right away. I thought it was just one of those little things that.
But I remember when I first saw your foot, I'm like, I remember like conversation we'd had like 3 weeks ago. I'm like, Ray, I really think you need Ray come in the office limping. So no, I got this new powder. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
I
put
got
on my
this new
foot.
powder.
It's
It just
gonna
made it
fix
worse.
everything up. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. So let's move on.
Anyway, get well soon.
Yeah,
dude.
get
I
well
hope your
soon,
procedure goes
buddy.
smooth as silk and speedy recovery,
We're
man.
foot brothers.
All right. What's next?
Anonymous says, hi, John. I wrote in a few months ago about my daughter finally coming home after her premature birth. Quick update.
Oh yeah.
Quick update. She's very healthy, and during a recent family visit, she watched about 30 seconds of Hook before her nap, Robin being
Yay.
her namesake.
Aww.
On the subject of Hook, I hadn't watched it in over 10 years. Wow, did it hit me differently now that I am a dad. Is there a movie that you saw years ago and had a different perspective on after you had a major change in your life event?
That's a fabulous question. First of all, I don't care what anybody says. I've always loved Hook. I think Hook's great.
Mm-hmm.
And I could totally see how that would totally change your perspective, like becoming a parent and all that kind of stuff. I know there have been movies that I've watched, like not even like one that I watched as a kid and then as an adult, but like one that I watched like 2 or 3 years later after something significant happened in my life and it just hit a little bit different. Well, I mean, this is more vicarious, but I mean, a couple of movies I've gone back and watched after Anne and Ray's dad passed away. There were a couple of movies where like a parent dies or something like that. And having just gone through that with Anne and everything, that hits us a little bit differently and things like that. But yeah, that does happen. But that really speaks to the power of movies they have. Have you had one, Chris, where like you've gone back and revisited it after, like maybe after you got married or after something significant happened to you and it just hits you differently?
Yeah, I mean, after watching Up after I got
Oh,
married,
yeah,
it was just
yeah.
like if I lost my spouse, because the first time I saw it, I was a wreck, and then it was I'm inconsolable after this 15
Right.
minutes, and I need to take a lap.
I mean, even from a filmmaker's perspective, I always like the story of Steven Spielberg when he was making Close Encounters. He was single. And so he wrote that from perspective of like, a man has to go chase after his dreams. This is a calling. He's got to go do this. So he's the protagonist of that film who abandons his family.
Yeah, at the
But
end, the dude abandons his family at the end of
Yeah.
Close Encounters.
Then he had a family and he created E.T. And it was about a family who lost their father.
That's a
and
good
how
one.
could
That's
they
a
do
good
that.
example.
Yeah,
Interesting thing about Hook is I never seen it.
it's so fun.
Yeah.
But you know what?
It's so fun.
At my school, like it was just like a mostly white school, whatever. But I would always hear, "Hey, Rufio!" They'd always say,
Rufio?
"Rufio." I had no idea what it was, and they're like, "You know, the guy from Hook," and I was like, "Oh, okay." But I still haven't seen it, and didn't help that one year I dyed my hair like red,
Like Rufio.
and that's
Oh,
what I
dang.
never even knew he had red hair
Yeah.
in that
Damn,
movie.
now Ann and I are both going to start calling you Rufio. By the way, Ann and I have decided,
Rufio!
Ann and I have decided you're going to come over and you're going to sit down and watch the first Inside Out with us before the next Inside Out comes out.
okay.
So we
That's
got to get that done. All right, what's next?
And Tropic Thunder.
Bangarang.
Twilight Boa.
Twilight Boy.
That's a thing we do, Chris.
Okay.
I like the first 2 Deadpool movies, especially the second, but it's time to admit to myself, I just don't find Deadpool himself funny. It feels like his humor is entirely middle school jokes, predictable meta jokes, or look, I'm saying the F word.
None of
Just
it
at me next time.
hits me that way.
That's my entire personality. So I apologize for every time I've appeared on this show before you, my friend.
Yeah, it's the quickness and the timing of the lines and like they're smart. I mean, they're vulgar, but they're smart. And that's what I just love about the humor in those movies. I absolutely adore them. They work so well for me. I find Deadpool hilarious. And, but it just all stems from Reynolds. Look, everybody knows Ryan Reynolds is my favorite movie star. He's a good Canadian kid. And for several years has been the main sponsor of our show. But fuck him when he puts out a bad movie like that stupid Six Underground or Red Notice, whatever. So, I can still
You know
call it
what's
like
crazy?
it is.
Is I like both those movies. So what's
You
up, Ryan?
did not
What's
even
up, Ryan?
see either of those
I saw
movies.
Six
See, there's
Underground and I've
something
seen
for
Red
everyone.
Did
Notice.
you like Six Underground?
I thought it was okay. I mean, I thought it was okay, but I liked Red Notice a little bit more than you did.
Oh, I hated
not
that
you
movie.
did, I
Yeah,
mean.
I hated that movie. But anyway, a lot of greats. But man, I'll tell you what. That dude, just watch Welcome to Wrexham, which I don't know if you've seen any of the new season.
It's that show. Is that
gets better
town
and better.
cursed? Is that town cursed? Because every episode, I'm like, it's going to be a great episode about, football. And then I'm sobbing, being like, is his kid okay? I hope he's okay. Is his
That's
wife
really
all
delve
right?
into the town like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah,
all
but
about
it's
more about the
revitalizing the
people,
show.
not about the team, right?
It's so
It's about
beautiful.
50,
It's about all of
50-50
it.
with some
Yeah.
sprinkling of Ryan and Rob.
and Rob.
And
yeah.
those players live in that town.
yes.
Yeah.
All of them.
Well,
Some of them
They
can
don't
be-
they've got to be
all
somewhat. They got to
come from
commute.
that
But,
town.
Right.
They
So they
moved
live
there
that
to-
life then.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
live that
Yeah.
life over there. Okay.
It's but just when when Ryan Reynolds is just talking to people, like where it comes out of his mouth so quick and so snappy.
He's so smart.
I know how it ends though,
Oh, because
Well, yeah.
were you catching up?
because I watched the season.
Yeah, I didn't watch the
Yeah.
season, so everything
wonder-
is exciting to me.
You know what? I wonder how this show will change this town. They need to do
Oh,
a
it already is.
retrospective.
Oh no, they
Oh, it
already,
already is.
10 years
they already
later.
have.
Yeah, but 10 years
But
later,
no,
they didn't look back.
they're season 3 now, and they're already talking about how the town
The
has
economy has
changed,
grown,
and things have
yeah.
happened.
All
It's
kinds of
really,
stuff.
really cool.
They can do a
Anyway,
retrospect.
This is probably not the greatest thing about like my career and my accolades. My father has never been more proud than when Ryan Reynolds sent us all gin. And he just bragged to all his friends and was like, my daughter has gin from Ryan, you know? And I was like, I've done shit, Dad. But thanks. I bought a bottle of alcohol.
by the way, I've never look. No, okay. Look, you guys know about a year and a half ago, I just stopped accepting any press invitations to anything. I don't go to press screenings. I don't do interviews. I just told everybody just take them out. But I still get them. But there's this one movie they keep.
Are they going to pull you
Debating
back
whether
in?
or not I should say which one it is. They keep trying to get me to come to their red carpet tonight. Like every day I'm getting an email about coming to this red carpet. Final notice.
question.
We need to know right now. Please respond soon. I'm like, I haven't responded to you once. I'm clearly not going.
I got a question, John. We're off top. Is that aviation that you got with the Deadpool colors on it? Is that like a special edition or something?
I guess so. It just showed up at
Because
the
I'm
house.
gonna go actually buy a bottle just to have it, just
Oh,
to
hell
have
yeah.
that bottle looks cool. I
I'll
think.
tell you, you guys take the next question. I'll go get it. So people
Oh,
know
yeah.
what they're
Okay.
talking about. Go ahead.
Also, I mean, if somebody wants to
Okay.
go to a red carpet, hi.
Twilight Boy.
Twilight Boy.
There you go. I don't know where Ray was on that one.
Twilight Boy. I'm sorry. I was thinking about gin right now.
I'm good at call and response.
Yeah, okay. Let's do that again. Twilight Boy.
Twilight Boy.
One thing that shocked me about Furiosa was how much continuity they kept with the Mad Max video games. Scrotus
heard.
was the main villain in the
heard.
game and introduced there. A character called Chumbucket from the game also cameoed in the film.
Logan was talking about this because he played the game and he was wishing that they had done a little bit more to reference the video game, so it wasn't just you had to play it to know these things, because I didn't. And so he was talking about, oh yeah, this thing happened and this thing, so that all's connected to this if you play the game.
You know what was great about that game is that I think brand new, it was only $20.
Oh.
And then like it went on clearance for $9. I actually bought it for my neighbor as a birthday present, and I kind of wish I kind of kept it for myself because from what I hear, it's a pretty decent game. I mean, especially if you go and beat it or whatever, it's a cheap, decent game, which is always good.
Okay. I have to
All
actually
right.
play
So
it.
I got this. This showed up. I'll
I like that it's a smoked glass. It has like a dark,
Yes.
Look at that! Look at that! Like gray and that red. Look at that! That's like Deadpool.
Yeah.
it's clean.
Nice.
I'm
I
gonna
like
go
it.
get one of those.
Is that in the stores? Did he tell you if that's what they changed it? Is that a different kind of gin or what?
I'll be honest. I don't even know where it came from.
You got to adjust the focus
Oh,
a little
yeah.
more. There you go.
Oh yeah,
There
It
you
just sort of showed up at the house.
yeah.
So I don't. I honestly, at this seriously, I have no idea.
If I see that in stores, I'm buying.
I don't
it.
know if Ryan sent this. I don't know if one of our viewers sent it. I don't know if just the
I'm not a
company
little
sent
gin
it.
angel. I'm the one here who drinks gin,
Gin.
Yeah.
I drink
Get
it
like
too.
3 bottles of gin out of this
and
already.
I drank them and enjoyed
I actually didn't
them.
get any
Whoa.
bottles of that because I wasn't on the crew at the time when you got that box. I had just come on.
I
So for
drank
anybody-
for you, Jonathan, and it was a
I
sacrifice.
ebb and flow with the John Campea projects.
So if anybody sees that in stores, let us know. I would like to buy one just to have on the shelf because it.
Yes, some King Daddy Goat and Laksha is saying it is a special edition. I'm like, okay, well, so there it is.
But it's
Okay.
it's
It's
just
a
the
really
regu-
pretty bottle.
It's just
Yeah.
a regular gin.
it's
in there.
I'm guessing
Yeah.
it is. I don't know.
I'm gonna go try.
I'm not a drinker, so but I mean, it's a very pretty bottle.
Yeah, I'm gonna track that down somewhere.
Oh hell yeah! You can go Total Wine.
What's next?
Peter Panic says Disney fumbled on marketing for a young woman in the sea. Daisy Ridley is fantastic. I got very invested. If you
I
like,
forgot that came out already. I gotta
Yeah.
go see that.
yeah, I saw it on the list of AMC. If you liked Boys in the Boat, you are looking for a better Naiad. I recommend
Naiad.
it. Naiad. If it wasn't for the guy's CinemaCon coverage, I wouldn't have known.
Okay, so this is the new Daisy Ridley film, and they gave us a preview for it. Now, here's the thing, though. It's in limited release.
Oh,
And so I don't know that everybody's going to get a chance to see it, but it was a very good looking presentation. It looked like the movie's going to be really good. And it's definitely on my list. I didn't even know it came out yet, but we'll check it out. All right. What's next?
All right. Garden Variety Vagabond says 2 opposite but great videos out concerning Deadpool. One is a popcorn promo, but better still by far is the People magazine video of Ryan and Hugh interviewing each other in a heartwarmingly honest piece on their friendship. A must.
Aw.
Yeah, we've seen
saw-
portions of it already.
I saw that video, but I didn't watch it. Like I saw it. You know what I want them to do? Josh Brolin and Ryan Reynolds did this BBC radio gimmick that they do over there where they bring in two stars and they have to insult each other and try to make the other person laugh as they're doing it. The Josh Brolin and Ryan Reynolds one is hilarious. The one that was even a little bit better was the Chris Pratt, Jennifer Lawrence one that they did for Passengers. That killed me too. I want to see Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds go into the BBC and do that, where they insult each other and have to make each other laugh to get points. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Lauren of Seattle says, John, how many premium movie theater formats are there to choose from? Which one is your favorite? Which one provides the best bang for the buck?
AMC Prime Video, Prime Dolby. Prime Dolby is my favorite one because it's the combination, it's the total package of the whole experience, right? You got the Dolby Atmos surround sound, you got their Dolby dual laser projection, and then you've got the full leather motorized reclining seats.
And it's a pretty big screen. It's not IMAX, but it's big.
It's not IMAX, but it's a big screen, and so the whole package together is my favorite viewing experience. Now, very close to that is the magnificence of IMAX. You know, IMAX is an incredible viewing experience. Both their larger formats and even their smaller formats ones are incredible viewing experiences. I love them desperately. I've never done 4DX, so I can't really give
That's different though.
That's more gimmicky.
Yeah, I've just never been it. I've never done it, so I don't know it. I don't have anything bad to say about it because I've never done it. But yeah, man, the Prime Dolby is great. IMAX is great. You can't go wrong with either of them. I tend to lean towards the Dolby Prime, but they're both great. All right, what's next?
Jay Raygun says, some say the humans are the most boring part of Transformers movies. I say, call in the Joes. Count me in as long as Snake Eyes isn't a jerk.
You can have a lot of humans in one of these movies if you do them well. Here's a great example of that. Monarch. Now, the difference between Monarch and some of the other ones is Monarch is supposed to be about the humans. Granted. But that was a Monster Universe show that was 95% humans, and I was still fully into it because they made great characters with a great story. It's okay if I go to see a Transformers movie and it's like half humans, as long as you write the humans well and make it a good story and make it a good narrative and make it flow well, it's all good. You can have an entire movie of nothing but Transformers. If it's garbage writing, it's still a garbage movie. So yeah, we'll see how that all kind of turns out. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Anonymous who says, but why shouldn't Philippe the Sentient Dancing Microphone be on Netflix? Why not just have a Netflix Select label for movies that are considered noteworthy?
Because then everything else that isn't on Netflix Select, you're telling them their movies are garbage.
Yeah.
And you're telling the audience they're garbage. So you can't really do that. Again, listen, I'm not telling you that they can't make great movies. Of course they can. They've shown they can. I'm just saying we've also seen that they make one good movie for every 99 bad ones, and that they don't actually have any practical incentive to try to make them good. And that's what we're now, whereas a movie that's going into theaters, a theatrical movie, there is a financial incentive every single time a movie goes onto a screen to try to make it as good as you can. Because yeah, maybe your movie would have flopped with $30 million, but if it's really good, you might have made $40 million. Maybe still flop, but there's $10 more million in your pocket. With Netflix and with streaming, that isn't there. It's just all, you're going to continue to crank out garbage, crank it out, because it doesn't matter. You're sitting at home. Well, it's free, so I can just click on it and watch it. Doesn't matter if it's good or not. And overall, our overall movie quality is going to continue to decline. All right.
Breaking news right here. Those gin bottles.
Yes.
There's going to be 6 different limited edition ones.
Really?
So,
Oh.
I am going to go
Is
out.
there going to be a Wolverine one?
It sounds like that's only one of the ones. It says introducing 6 new limited edition variants of the bottle.
Oh, I see you put up the new
Emoji.
emoji.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to look for these, and every one I find, I'm going to bring it in and have all 6.
That's a lot of money on alcohol.
I'm getting it delivered to my house at 4 p.m. today. Taylor Gonzalez, happy birthday.
Did you actually? You did. You have your credit card.
Oh, she's got the credit card out and everything.
I thought we were gonna go scavenger these things, but no. I guess you get them delivered to your house.
All right, what's next?
All right.
All right, we got Picard season 3 rocks. What are your thoughts on Discovery season 5, Rob? Well, Rob's not here.
Rob's not here.
But John can
Never
answer
is
it.
on Fridays.
I'm someone who's quite enjoyed the first 4 seasons, 7 episodes into the final season, and it's been utter garbage. Only enjoyed 1 episode out of the season so far. Have you seen any of Discovery?
I have not seen the new season of Discovery at all. Like Discovery for me is a hit and miss thing. Like they have some episodes that are really great and some episodes that are really terrible. I appreciated Discovery a little more until I saw Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is so infinitely better than Discovery. So I kind of lost my taste for Discovery a little bit. I do intend on watching the final season. I just haven't gotten around to it. But they certainly did some good things in the show. They have. But guys, seriously, any of you who haven't watched Star Trek Strange New Worlds, wow, it's really good. It's excellent Star Trek. But yeah, I'll get around to Discovery season 5. All right, what's next?
Anonymous writes, watch Shrinking, loved it. What a great show, but I'm not a fan of how long streaming shows take. If The Bear can make a season a year, why can't Shrinking or Severance? Also, how is the husband of your dead best friend safe? Dick, that's complicated. The husband of your dead best friend. Okay.
Okay, yeah. It's a storyline in
Because
Shrinking.
in theory, you won't fall for him because that's not okay.
In theory.
In theory.
I think a lot of people have fallen for
And it's
their
a
best
safe
friends.
person. It's not someone
Yeah.
who's going to take advantage of you. It's not somebody who's gonna wreck you or anything like that.
This is the problem with friends with benefits. Everyone thinks
Yes.
that they're going to be fine and they're not going to
Yeah,
catch
it's not gonna be
feelings.
fine.
First of all, I'm so glad you're watching Shrinking. Not enough people are. It's the best Harrison Ford has been in, dare I say, decades.
Yeah.
It is a brilliant, wonderful, charming show. It's the best of Ted Lasso and The Bear kind of mixed into one thing. It's so good. Watch it. One of the things that I think holds up streaming shows a lot is that when they make a season, I don't think they have any idea if they're getting a second season. And with Starz' schedules being the way they are, like you make the first season, but we don't know until the first season airs whether or not we're doing a second season. Okay. Well, once you make the decision to do a second season, you're now beholden to whatever the schedule is of, Harrison Ford and Jason Segel and everybody else on the show. Like you're just beholden to whatever their schedules are now. If they can't shoot for another 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months, and then when they are available, is your production team ready to go? I mean, it kind of becomes a little bit of that. And I agree. It completely frustrates me. Every show should have a new season ready to go every year. If television on cable could do 24 episodes a year and be out every year on clockwork, you can do it too. But there are some additional complicated things like that. I can't wait for Shrinking to come back.
So
Can't wait.
excited.
All right, let's go. What's next?
Disney Gifts by Bryce. Hey guys, I was watching your Why Theaters Are Dying segment yesterday. For me, it's etiquette between talking, texting, vaping. It gives me an immediate headache. All me and my wife want to do is go to the drive-in. No one to ruin the experience. Man, I feel like in
drive-in's
Burbank,
great.
I just do not I don't have that experience.
I'll tell you
Is
what.
everyone nice there?
I don't know if I'm just lucky, but from living in Canada to living here in LA and all that kind of stuff, maybe 5% of the time I go to the movies, I have a disruptive presence in my theater. Like the vast, and I'm not talking about the odd person who kind of whispers or giggles to their neighbor. That doesn't bother me. That's fine. I mean, I know for me, there's a lot more distractions at the house. There's a lot more distractions at home. But that aside, my nightmare experience with the number 23, the Jim Carrey one, where we had the gaggle of teenage girls behind us that wouldn't shut the F up the entire time. That's like 1 out of every 100 times I go to the theater. So I mean, it's irritating when it happens, but it just doesn't happen as often for me.
Your Regal, not so much.
Yeah. If I go to a Regal show that is after 7 p.m., it is so very likely that somebody's going to be an absolute dick in the theater.
Wow.
And it's usually not, sometimes it's children, like sometimes it's teenagers, and usually you can just do a, hey, can you please stop talking? And then they get so bothered by being confronted that they shut up, right? It's grown adults who I'm having the biggest problem with, of just talking during theaters, vaping, which is crazy to me. Like any behavior that you shouldn't do on an airplane, please don't do in a movie theater. That's kind of, I think, don't be aggressively drunk. Don't talk to like everybody, just be quiet and watch a movie.
I like what the ArcLight used to do, which was, I think before the beginning of each screening, a staff person should come into the auditorium and say, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to watch whatever. It's this many minutes long, rated whatever. And again, we ask everybody's here to watch a movie and enjoy a movie. Please don't talk. And if you do, please whisper. Make sure your phones are put away. Please respect that everybody else in here is paid to be in here today, and we're all here to watch a movie together. And thank you. And you know what? The ArcLight was always great.
Yeah,
I
and they
love that
actually
theater.
Very rare that I had
Loved
anybody
it.
in
they
ArcLight
actually
ever say anything.
stood in the wings for like the first 10 to 15 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
then
they
they'd
would
leave.
say I'm gonna stay in here for the first few minutes to make sure that the picture and the audio are meet our standards.
Yeah.
Which is great. I think AMC, Regal, Cinemark, I think they should all do something like that. I think it would go a long way.
I've seen people kicked out at ArcLight for being on their cell phone.
Yeah, and so they should.
Just curious. Hey, John, love the show. Have you had a chance to check out the Stormlight Archive series? I believe these books are going to be great for a film TV adaptation. Stormlight.
I have just started today. Let me open this up here.
It's called Stormlight Archive or just Stormlight?
Stormlight Archive is the name of the overall
Oh, I see.
series. And I got the first one, which is something of the King, or
Return of the King.
the Way of Kings. The Way of Kings. And I just started listening to it at the gym this morning. So I got through the prologue, and I'm not liking it so far. But very rarely will I be right into a book 15 minutes in. Like
Sure.
usually that's just setting groundwork and stuff like that. So apparently it's like, how long is this thing? Hold on a second. I think it's like 30 plus hours. Let me just double 45 hours and 17 minutes
Dang.
is this audiobook. So I just got about 15 or 20 minutes into it when I was on the treadmill this morning. So I will update you later once I get a little bit more into it. All right, what's next?
We got Joey Pedros, who says, not sure what everyone's feelings are about the Cloverfield movies. We heard talk of a fourth one with a director even being announced. Do you think that this film is still happening? Seems like it might get lost in the streaming mergers buyouts.
We'll
I like
never-
Cloverfield Lane.
Well,
Love
Cloverfield Lane
Lane.
to me is the only good one. I didn't even really like the first one. I know
I
a lot
like
of
the first
people
one.
It
do.
was okay, but too many cutaways from the
Yeah.
monster and stuff. It was,
Oh, I
It was
love
hard to
that
watch
movie.
at times.
Yeah, but Cloverfield Lane was quite good.
yeah.
And then the one they dropped
Paradox or
on
whatever it's called?
streaming after
Oh.
the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, that was not good.
Barf. That movie was
Yeah.
so bad. I don't think another Cloverfield movie will ever see the inside of a theater. If they do end up making another one, I think it'll probably be straight to streaming. At least that's I guess. I don't have any insider knowledge. It's just me guessing. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, what are your thoughts on Kathleen Kennedy's statement that toxic male fan base culture is responsible for female characters not working?
That, by the way, that's a misrepresentation
Yeah,
of what
that's not-
she
she didn't
said.
say
That's
that.
not what she said.
Did she forget the new trilogy had no plan and that most female characters were poorly written?
Yeah, as many people who will like to complain about Kathleen Kennedy, and for the record, I've said for years that she needs to go. Like, so I'm not some ardent Kathleen Kennedy defender. I have said for years that she needs to go. But like many people who like to complain about her, they completely twisted and misrepresented what she said. That's not what she said. What she was specifically talking about is, you got to understand, she's talking about how much toxicity gets thrown at female cast people and people who portray these characters and their characters and stuff like that. And here's the thing, she's not wrong. And she didn't say all of them do it. Of course she didn't. Like, that's another thing these losers do. They go like, when somebody points out, hey, this person is getting targeted a lot by a lot of racist comments, then one of these losers comes and says, so-and-so says all Star Wars fans are just racist. It's like, that's not what they said.
Because they don't want to be singled out.
Yeah,
'Cause
like
they're
what's
cowards.
it like being a straw man? You get itchy under there? That's not what they said. What Kathleen Kennedy said actually is kind of true from the limited perspective from what she said it. Now, remember, she was also responding to a question. Somebody directly asked her a question, she answered. And again, I'm no Kathleen Kennedy defender. I think she's a great producer. She's been a horrible studio head. She needs to go. But yeah, this is another one of those things of people deliberately misquote what was said to try to make it fit their narrative. All right, what's next?
Stargirl says, did anyone watch Noel Fielding's Dick Turpin?
Yes.
It's silly and funny. I'm a fan of The Mighty Boosh too. One of the best comedies ever. His live shows are also brilliant.
Okay, I'm so intrigued because I have never even heard of this, but you have such
Yes.
enthusiasm for this. What is
Well,
it?
I love Noel, first of all, because I loved him on Mighty Boosh. I'm a big British Bake Off fan. I love his comedy stylings. He's wonderful on 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown and stuff. It is a hilarious, weird show about a highwayman who is just a sweet guy who's trying to be a cool robber with some flair. And it's really funny and absurdist and ridiculous. It's a stacked cast of people who are really huge in the English comedy scene. And they're like 25, 30-minute episodes. So you breeze through this.
This, I wasn't aware of this, but this kind of eschews some Monty Python feelings where
Yeah.
the stand and deliver, the Lupins.
It-
Give me all your Lupins.
It very much is in that vein. If you watched Our Flag Means Death, it has a lot of those vibes too. It's a fun watch. But I think also it's for that kind of very specific type of English humor.
Yeah, which is mine. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
I think you like it.
All right, what's next?
All right, last of the tips here. Dildar the Glorious. Is it wrong I never heard about you till the Spider-Man picture incident? I remember a lot of people getting upset over you, thinking you were lying about them being photoshopped, even though you actually thought that they were there on accident. Well, why would it be wrong? You found us.
Oh no, I don't care. So like, here's the thing about the Spider-Man pictures. Number one, multiple outlets reported that Toby and Andrew were in the movie a year before the movie came out. Number two, weeks before I shared those pictures, video footage of Andrew Garfield was put out online on set of the movie. And number three, yeah, I mean, I thought because I had got sent pictures before of Andrew and Toby with Tom Holland that were fake. And then when I got sent those ones, I thought they were fake too. And then as soon as I got told 5 minutes after I posted them, I pulled them down. And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there are some people who thought I got duped. There are some people who thought I intentionally put these pictures out. Whatever. I was a big Disney and Marvel fan. And like, I would never do anything that would intentionally. Some people, well, half the people out there say I'm a Disney hater, half the people out there say I'm a Disney shill. But I mean, to those who believed I was a Disney shill, I never would have done anything intentionally to hurt a Marvel cinematic movie coming out. I mean, that's just not in my DNA. I wouldn't do it. Plus, I'm not going to get any followers from a picture going out. Who cares? So, I mean, yeah, there are some people who said they found me that way for the first time, which is fine. But there are a lot of people, most people found me because of our Man of Steel thing and whatever. And anybody else, I don't really care. I mean, we're still here. We're still doing our thing. There were a lot of other pictures I got sent during that flood of pictures I got that we were going to share and then we didn't. Obviously, we got shared long before She-Hulk came out. We got showed the pictures that came along with those Spider-Man pictures. We also got pictures of She-Hulk. This is like a year before She-Hulk came out. We had pictures of She-Hulk in court, in the green screen, in the gray bodysuit with Charlie Cox in outfit. Like, we had all these images and pictures like a year before She-Hulk came out that came along with the Spider-Man ones, and we never shared them. We never talked about them. We never spilled what was in them because we found out they were real, which I didn't think those ones were real either. But yeah, it is what it is. But that's the thing. Like, I've had several things that happen along my career. Like, you guys would not believe the stuff I get sent. You wouldn't believe it. You would just, and the stuff that we get told and the stuff that and I don't even ask anybody. I never ask anybody, never on my show do I ever say, hey guys, if you got a hot tip. Like, there's a guy who does Apple videos. He does mostly videos about Apple, and I think it's called Front Page Tech, FPT. I think that's what it's called. For any of you guys in the live chat who know it, just let me know if I'm saying that right. I think it's Front Page Tech. I think this is the one who did. Anyway, so like, he always, and there's nothing wrong with this, but he like always ends his YouTube videos with like, or used to at any rate, saying, hey, if you guys have a tip, about something going on at Apple, here's an anonymous thing you can send it into and send me all, and he gets all the Apple dirt, right? I never ask anybody to send me anything. I don't want people sending me audio clips, and I get a lot of audio clips sent to me. I don't ask people to send me images, and I get a lot of images sent to me. I don't ask anybody to send me hot scoops, and I get a lot of stuff sent to me. Jeremy King said, yes, front page tech with John Prosser. That's it. Exactly. Yes. So, but guys, you would not believe weekly the stuff I get sent to me. A lot of it is fake and bullshit and all that kind of stuff, which is why I don't talk about the stuff that gets sent to me. But sometimes it turns out like 5 months later, I'll go, oh my God, that picture they sent to me was real, because it turns out it was up there. But I never ask for people to send me stuff, but everybody always does. There are people in every studio that has access to shit, and they send me information, and they send me clips, and they send me audio, and they send me pictures and all this kind of stuff. And I'll like open it up and I'll go, that's nice. And then I put it away and I never talk about it, because half the time I don't know if it's real or fake. And if it is real, then I'll find out once everybody else finds out it's real. But that's just the way I kind of handle it, because I'm not a scooper. Right? I decided a long time ago I was never going to be in the scoop business. Now, when I find out something for fact, like for instance, somebody from Paramount at CinemaCon coming to me and letting me know, hey, Keanu Reeves is going to be our Shadow, the voice of Shadow. Okay. Face to face with somebody from the production actually told me to my face, I was able to get on my show and tell everybody that Keanu Reeves is going to be the voice of Shadow. But anything short of that, I don't even break scoops. I don't. Later when it'll happen, I'll mention that Rob and I had talked about it already or something like that, but I just don't like to break scoop. The first time I broke a scoop, and this is what really scares me off trying to do any scoop breaking, was before, why am I freezing on the name of the guy who directed Shaun of the Dead? Edgar Wright. Before Edgar Wright's Ant-Man, I got told by somebody very, very connected and very reliable that Pat Riley from Winning Time, who played
Adrian Brody.
What's that?
Brody.
Adrian Brody.
Broner.
Is it Adrian Brody? That's
Yeah.
his name? Yeah. I got told that Adrian Brody was going to be Ant-Man. It was 100%. 100%. Like, if you knew who told me that, you wouldn't have doubted it either. That Adrian Brody was Ant-Man. So I got on my little outlet, the movie blog, and I let people know, I have found out that Adrian Brody is going to be Ant-Man. Again, this was back when Edgar Wright was still going to be directing it. And it was my first big scoop. I was telling people, Adrian Brody, I'm the first one to tell everybody that Adrian Brody's going to be Ant-Man. That was great. Until the next day when Edgar Wright writes me and says, no, he's not. And I looked really stupid. And that's when I decided I am never going to try to be in the scoop game. I'm just not. I will talk about news that comes out, but I'm going to try to stay out of the scoop game. So a lot of people get mad at me sometimes when they send me shit and then they write to me again, say, how come you didn't publish this? I sent this to you. Do you know what kind of risk I took to send that to you? I'm like, dude, I never asked you to send it to me. But that's why I don't want to get caught with my pants down. Because there was one other time about 6 years ago, there was a Star Wars thing, and I can't remember what it was. It was something to do with the identity of Supreme Leader Snoke. It was about 5, 6, 7 years ago. And again, it came from two different sources. Me and Christian Harloff both heard it independently from multiple sources. And I got on Collider and I said, this is who Snoke is, and it was wrong. So I'm like, damn it, this is why I don't do scoops and why I just never try. Everybody else, Jeff Schneider, who has real connections and all that kind of stuff, he can do the scoops. I try to stay out of the scoop stuff. All right, guys, we still have more questions to take from our beloved YouTube channel members. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank another sponsor of today's video, our friend at Harry's. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Harry's. Guys, in order to start the John Campea Show, I had to leave my high-paying corporate job in order to set myself up to be happier and enjoy more personal success. Because sometimes to get what you want, you have to challenge the status quo and blaze your own trail. And that's exactly what the folks at Harry's did. You see, at Harry's, they saw customers getting ripped off by questionable products in the shaving industry and decided to do something better. Harry's decided to pave their own road by making beautifully designed razors for a fraction of the price of the other big brands, except Exceptional products, honest prices. That's Harry's. I have fallen in love with Harry's, from their foaming shaving gel that feels just luxurious on the skin to their incredible razor that feels just as good in the hand as it does going over your skin. They've got rich, lathering, skin-softening body wash in scents like redwood, wildlands, and stone. You see, Harry's provides German-engineered blades made in their own factory that stay sharp longer. You can get a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and a travel cover for just $3 at harrys.com/Campea. Don't settle for the status quo. Blaze your own trail with Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/Campea. That's harrys.com/Campea for a $3 trial set. And thank you to our friends at Harry's for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, let's get over to our YouTube channel members who've been sending in some questions today. Jonathan, what we got?
All right. JMH says, do you think we could see a legacy sequel to 21 and 22 Jump Street, go the Bad Boys route, bring in a new filmmaker Lord and Miller can produce?
I think the time for it has come and gone. I think Jonah Hill is just at a different place in his career now. I don't think he has any interest in doing it. I would love a new 21 Jump Street movie. I love those two movies. Love them, but I just don't think that Jonah Hill, who you can't do it without him, I just don't think he has any interest in that anymore. All right, what's next?
CJ Rebirth says, just want to tell Ray that even though Joe Coy released his Sunday movie, there's still good Filipino girl Vanessa Hudgens, who I and lots of other people still know mostly from High School Musical.
She's done a lot more than just High School Musical.
She's great.
She's wonderful. By the way, she was also in that, what was the name of the Andrew Garfield movie that Snoop Dogg? It's not Click Click Boom, is it? It's
Tick Tick Boom.
Tick Tick Boom. She's in Tick Tick Boom with Andrew Garfield, and she's great in it. She was in that wonderful little NBC show called Powerless. She was in that one movie with who played Hannibal in the TV series.
Mads Mikkelsen?
Mads Mikkelsen. She was in that one action thriller where Mads Mikkelsen was like a hitman. She was in that. She's great in that. Vanessa Hudgens is awesome. I really like
she's
her.
awesome. And I'm not saying the Filipinos don't have no representation. There's a lot
Dave
of
Bautista.
Yeah, there's a lot of actors and actresses who have like that, ties or even full. But I mean, Joe Coy, was trying to bring the culture into a movie.
Yes, and did
is
it
what
badly.
I'm saying.
And did it badly.
Yeah, and that's what makes me so sad about that movie, because we might not ever have another chance. I'm glad Joe Coy got it. He's funny. I always respect him, but it just sucks that that's our first dive into really trying to bring.
He is still currently my favorite stand-up comedian, but that movie was terrible.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
We got Uptumber says, finally got around to watching Game of Thrones, started season 1 this past Saturday, and I'm on season 2 finale already. I get all the hype now. How I heard seasons 3 and 5 is where it really ramps up.
I was when season 1 came out, I didn't see it until Dennis Zen was having a watch party for Game of Thrones season 1, where they're going to watch all of season 1 starting Saturday morning, and then we're going to build up to the finale broadcasting that night. I think it was a Sunday, and we're going to build it. And that was my first time sitting down watching Game of Thrones. And I watched the whole thing, and like season 1, and I liked it, but I didn't love it. And then, of course, my favorite character dies at the end of season 1. I'm like, oh, well, I'm checked out. I'm totally checked out. I'm not all that interested in the show anymore. But the show just kept getting better and better. And it went deeper and deeper and better and better. And a lot of people will complain about the final season. I think the final season was brilliant. Aside from it being too short, like they only doing 6 episodes was stupid. But I mean, there's a reason why it won more Emmys than any other show in history. And I'm talking about the final season, won more Emmys than any other show in history. So, I ended up falling in love with it, and I absolutely loved it. And it all came from that first season. Ray, you brought up the other day that, you've watched certain things in episodes where it's like, you didn't think there was much to it. And later on you realized, oh my God, it was actually super, super important that they did that. Game of Thrones is kind of like that. Like they'll do some things that maybe on their surface seems a little pedestrian and a little bit mundane. And then like a few episodes later, or maybe even a few seasons later, you find out, oh my God, that was vital. That was super important that they did that. And it's kind of like something that they were able to kind of get their hands on, do right from season one, and just build upon year after year. Like I've said this before, you can agree or disagree about whether or not Game of Thrones overall was that great of a show. But here's the part you can't debate. No show in history has ever had as big of a pop cultural influence as Game of Thrones did. Every other TV show would reference Game of Thrones. Like they just all did it, right? It's just, that's how big of a footprint it made on our pop culture. Like everybody knew Game of Thrones. The whole, anybody hums dun dun. Like Ann and I, when we would go to this place in Burbank for brunch, they would bring in a string quartet to play during brunch. Every week, you knew they were going to play the Game of Thrones theme, right? They play lots of other stuff every single week, different music, except for one piece, the Game of Thrones piece. They would play bum, 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 bum. And as soon as they would, everybody in the restaurant would put down their forks for a second and just listen.
Yeah, what do you got to say about that, Chris? I just wanted to do that real quick. Sorry, I just wanted
It's a
to.
good song.
I'm here at the head of the thing, so I wanted to.
I mean, that song was great. So my viewing parties were always, we had all of the Game of Thrones scotches. And you could go choose your houses and stuff. And then the theme song would come on. We'd all be like, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones.
They had limited
It was the
edition
best.
bottles
They
for that
did,
too.
yeah.
Cool.
If there's a booze that's fancy, I'm going to find it.
Okay.
I'm going to find it and get it.
All right.
Well, just to explain to everyone, Jonathan was on a pee break.
Yep. Well, Ray just kind of broke the fourth wall.
Seamless.
So
I'm here to give it. I'm here to give the truth.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I stretched out my answer there a little bit so we could wait till Jonathan got back.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. What's the next topic?
I've been here the whole time. What are you talking about? Game of Thrones is great. Currently binging the Bad Boys movies, getting ready for a BB Ride or Die, currently on for life. Also, Vanessa Hudgens is going to be in that.
Is Vanessa Hudgens in the new Bad Boys?
Yeah.
Oh, good for
Wait,
her.
how'd you know we were talking about Vanessa Hudgens? You
He's
were in
been
the
here
back-
the whole time.
No,
I've
he
been
wasn't.
here
He
the
was
whole
only
time.
gone for the Game of Thrones question.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, remember? That's why he left.
Oh, right. Because we were talking about Vanessa
It's a
Hudgens.
strange
All right,
narrative.
go
I
pee.
never left. I've been here the whole
Hudgens
time.
makes him go pee.
All right, what's next?
Sepple fan says, I hope Blade teams up with Deadpool and Kate Bishop to defeat Dracula. I'm sure that could be done for a $64 million budget.
I don't see it.
I just want to see Blade.
Yeah, I just let's see if you can get a Blade movie first. Then let's
Yeah.
worry about Blade teaming
Let's
up
get
with
beyond
anybody.
the
There's
script.
so many team ups that I would dream about. Like if Blade ever comes out, like with him and Daredevil, ooh, be awesome.
Matt Tween dropped a scathing comment earlier that was, what if Marvel made Blade?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see. That seems unrealistic. That seems far fetched. That
You
they'll
know
actually
what?
get that made.
I'm gonna put a calendar behind me. How many days pass
Like
until
an
Blade
incident
comes out?
calendar?
It's just gonna fill up the whole wall. I think I might have to get you a new wall.
It's year 7 as we wait for the countdown to Blade. All right, what's next?
All right. Amin says, apparently Deadpool and Wolverine is the first MCU film to not have a single scene that is in the expanded IMAX ratio since Homecoming. Really surprising if true, considering the growing popularity of IMAX in the last few years and the type of film it is. Really wonder why they didn't or decide to shoot in IMAX.
Unnecessary expense.
That's what I was thinking, right? How much does it? Do we know like around the range of?
Well-
it's the equipment. It's the
It not only is it money, it's inconvenience. Shooting with
Right.
IMAX cameras is a pain in the ass.
and you need special like people, right? Operators of those
Yeah,
cameras,
I think
and then
you do that
access
too.
to wider shots.
Yeah, I honestly don't see any need for it. I really don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't appreciate it, especially like opening of The Dark Knight. Are you kidding me? With the cityscape and the bank heist
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely. But it's not really necessary particularly for a movie like this. So I'm good with it. All right, what's next?
Jai CC says, Michael Rooker is in Gunn's DCU. Do you think he does various cameos, a mirror role throughout a major or minor role throughout a major role, or not be a part this time?
I have not heard that Michael Rooker was in the MCU or was in
DC.
James
DC.
Gunn's DCU. I've not heard that. I mean, I don't know if maybe it was announced he was one of the voices in Creature Commandos.
I would bet he would be.
I feel like it's just he's going to show up in this at some point in
Right.
some capacity because they're buds.
They're buddies, and he pops up
And he's
in all
always
the
in his stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But has James Gunn ever been known for that? Like just putting like a particular actor in the background as a minimal throughout all his movies? I don't think he's ever done that. I think
He did it with Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Well, twice in Guardians of the Galaxy, he was like one of the alien prisoners.
Oh, right.
In the first one, then
You're
he was
right.
like the captain
Oh, yeah,
of the
sorry.
security in the
I was
third
wrong
movie.
there. Okay.
So yeah, he's done stuff like that. I really want to see if he puts what's his name inside of you with Michael, who played Lex Luthor.
Rosenbaum?
Rosenbaum.
Oh, Michael Rosenbaum.
That's it.
Yeah.
Rosenbaum. I'm going to be curious to see if he drops Rosenbaum in there anywhere.
Oh yeah, because he did that.
'Cause,
With
I mean, they're
Guardians
buddies.
as well.
And, yeah. All right. What's next?
Brandon Collins says Ryan Gosling has now headlined 3 amazing films that inexplicably bombed at the box office: The Fall Guy, Blade Runner 2049, and The Nice Guys. Does this suggest he isn't a bankable lead?
I don't know that there's anybody who's a bankable
Yeah, I
lead
think
today.
those days are different. We're in different
Yeah.
days.
I think Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne Johnson are as close as it gets to it, I guess. And even that's not completely reliable. I mean, If opened bigger than it would have if it wasn't Ryan Reynolds, but If didn't open all that huge and all that big. So I don't know that there is a bankable movie star today. Here's the thing. Movie stars today, the age has changed where it's like, oh, if you put like Will Smith in something, it's guaranteed to open to $100 million. Those days are gone. But what you do get now is when you put like, it's legitimacy, right? You put in a recognizable face and name in a movie, it becomes more legitimate. That's not fair, but it is true nonetheless. Like to an average moviegoer, it's like, if they had looked at Fall Guy and saw 2 unknown faces in the poster, they are less likely to go to the movie than if it's 2 faces they know and recognize and enjoy, right? So it's more about giving the film legitimacy with the audience, but I just don't think there is anybody anymore. Gone are the days that Sly or Arnold or Will Smith or anybody, just put them in it and it guarantees huge box office, even box office Viagra like Dwayne Johnson. I don't think is that anymore.
Yes.
All right, what's next?
Todd Naprick says, what's your opinion on Shudder, a small niche streamer that uses theatrical releases and has put out a few impressive horror flicks? Do you think they're a good model for how to be a streaming service?
Not gonna lie, I've never opened Shudder once. So I can't give commentary about whether I think it's a good model or not, because it could be a great model. Just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean it's not, but I can't give have any of you guys loaded up Shudder?
No.
I know Chris would never go anywhere
No.
near Shudder.
All I know is
That's not for me.
I was trying to watch maybe a horror thriller, and it was only playing on that service, but I forgot what movie it was that I was looking up.
They have a good lineup. It's just I'm not a huge horror fan.
Yeah.
So.
All right, what's next?
Strong Nerd says, do you think Marvel Studios will ever make an X-Men versus Avengers?
Hard to say.
It'd be down the line.
It's certainly
possible.
not coming anytime soon.
Yeah.
But then it all depends on the way their story unfolds and the state. Like, does Marvel recover from the kind of slump that they're in right now? Like, there's so many things to go on. I mean, you could. It's feasible. I'm gonna say, and look, whenever the question is could and ever are in the same question, when the words could and ever are in the same question, the answer is always yes. Doesn't matter. Could this mouse evolve into a living being? I suppose it could. The right radioactive shower hits the planet, maybe. So I'll say, sure, it's possible, but I don't know that it is likely. But we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Gallivanter says, hey, John and crew, last weekend I took my kids to see Garfield at a drive-in movie theater, and they loved it. My question for you, what has been your experience with drive-in movies? What do you think about drive-in theaters? Do you love it or hate it? Thanks, Bring on the Filthy.
I love the drive-in.
Wait, John, can we go back to a little bit? It says his children loved Garfield. There you go, buddy. Huh?
Yep.
Oh, did you
If
like
you're
it?
5, I can see that it will make you entertain you. If you're 5 years
Love
old.
it. You're welcome.
I love the drive-in. It's a different experience, right? One of the, trying to find some silver linings in the shitstorm that was the pandemic was that a bunch of places started doing drive-in, like the parking lot of Dodger Stadium or something, like opened up a drive-in theater, or at the Rose Bowl. And so we went, Ann and I would go a couple of times, and we watched a few movies in drive-in style. Loved it. Went to go watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse for like the 18th time at the drive-in. Love it. I love the drive-in experience. I really do. I don't prefer it over the theater experience, but it's a different experience. And we had a lot. You guys ever go to the drive-in?
Yeah, well, back in Texas, we would go to the one in Tomball all the time. Tomball, Texas, nice town, any little town. We'd go on the weekends and you'd see a double feature and eat a pizza in your car. And then here, I always do it around the holidays because there'll be some fun ones of seeing, you drive through a bunch of Christmas lights and then you can go watch
Right.
Home Alone, that kind of thing. I love it.
All right, let's take 2 more.
All right. Lori Howard says, hello, my film-loving friends. Do you believe the reason no one talks about Raya on Disney Plus sequel is because it was the first day and date movie of the pandemic? My family really enjoyed it and asked about follow-up movies.
The moment you brought it up, I thought to myself, wow, I haven't thought of that movie in a while.
My
Raya-
first thought was the dating service for rich people.
Sign up for Raya.
That's where my brain went.
Is that a real thing?
It is, yeah.
Oh.
The thing about Raya was a nice little movie. It was a nice little movie. It wasn't as good as I think it was going to be because they kind of gutted it, changed directors out, all that kind of stuff. But it still ended up being a charming little film that I enjoyed. But yeah, I think it came out in this really weird vortex of time with pandemic and Disney Plus launching and them experimenting with day and date and all this kind of stuff. And it just ultimately got forgotten. Because like I said, the moment you brought it up, I just thought, wow, when's the last time I even thought about that movie? So listen, they've got a lot of movies, animated movies in their lineups that they can do sequels for. I don't think they're looking at Raya for one of them. It just wasn't that successful. Again, it's a nice little movie. Did you ever get around to watching Raya?
Yeah.
What did you think about it?
I liked it. And I remember because it was the pandemic too, they did all this, kind of virtual red carpet stuff. And Logan and I
Yes,
watched
that's
it.
right.
And we were so excited for Kelly Marie Tran to be welcomed in by all these other former Disney princesses and things. And it was really, really cute. But it is one that I got to say, I haven't really gone back and watched because other ones that were released during the pandemic, like Luca, like Onward, I have rewatched those.
Yeah, the Raya one just came out at this really weird time. Anyway, I'm glad you brought it up. I haven't thought about it in a while. All right, last question of the day. What's next?
Culture Healer says, hey, John and crew, recently saw someone using the Redbox kiosk and was wondering how they are still in business at a time when physical media is being scaled back or cut out. Can you explain this?
Nope. I couldn't explain it when it was in its heyday. I couldn't explain why people use Redbox. I think I used it once. I found it an incredibly inconvenient thing to go through and all this kind of stuff. I mean, look, in the absence of the video stores, it became kind of like your only option. And that way is pretty cool. And believe me, I know a lot of people who used Redbox. I just never understood the appeal to it.
Yeah,
really didn't.
I guess it's for people who specifically don't have streamers or at least like not enough streamers that it can cover the gamut.
Yeah.
But, they don't want to buy a Blu-ray, but they can go rent one.
Yeah.
I mean, even with gaming, it's like, oh, well, you can rent games, but it's like, yeah, but now they have Game Pass stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it's getting more and more difficult. The window's closing, but there's still people out there that do it. I think it's low overhead for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So they can just keep the leases running in front of CVS stores and whatever. And yeah.
Probably.
Those were great. Those days where like you would rent something that you haven't seen and your group of friends hadn't seen, and the excitement, and everyone has to like sit down at the same time and actually shut up and like get all your food together, and then you just play it, and everyone. Those days are like super gone now. Everyone's watching stuff on their own time at different times of the day. Like if you watched it a little bit ahead of someone else, then you've already missed the train of talking to them about it. You have to go watch it. Those days were awesome.
Listen,
because it was
I
a
used to
event
like
at
it.
home.
Like, forget that. I used to me and my buddies used to go to Rogers Video, which was like Canada's version of Blockbuster. We would like all go, like 4 or 5 of us would go.
Mm-hmm.
We'd run into the Max Milk. That was like our big convenience store chain. Next to it, grab some snacks, go in, walk up and down the aisles, look at the movie listings, and go, oh yeah, let's get that. I kind of miss that.
And you know what the best thing was? If you rented enough, sometimes they would give you a free movie, and you go up to the counter. I would take out all the change I had, hoping I had enough. They're like, "Oh, you got a free movie because you rented like 5 or whatever, this and that."
Mm-hmm.
Those promotions were great. Like the rent 3 for $3, whatever it was. Man, those days are gone. I miss browsing the video store, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was there was a social aspect to it too. So
Yeah.
kind of miss it. All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making the show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those questions. Number one, because it gave us fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported our channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. I'm going to be doing an open mic this weekend, so keep your eyes open for when I'll announce it in the community tab, the exact time that we'll be doing it, but we'll be doing that this weekend. We're looking forward to seeing you there. So for the people in the room with me, Ray Ora,
They love Garfield, baby.
Jonathan Voico,
See you guys next week.
Chris Carr,
Enjoy the Muppets re-release in theaters.
my name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.